Hello. Hey, hey.
Hi.
How's everybody doing? I kind of snuck up on us,
Super
didn't
bad.
it?
That was the longest intro ever.
I'm starting. Well, I think it was streaming to your end, but it wasn't connecting for us. So when it kept
Oh,
looping, yeah. So we were the holdup, of course. It was not my hair, as most of the chat would like to lead you to believe it was. Thank you very much. I had my hair fixed
it was my
quite
hair.
early
That's
today.
what it was.
Yes. Hello, Steve. I think you're muted. Nope. Try again. Nope. Nothing. Dave, are you getting anything from Steve? Oh, Steve. First it was Katie, now it's you.
I know.
Steve, I think you might have to pop out and come back in. I don't know why Steve's not working, but some would say that's a blessing.
How about now?
There you go.
Yeah, you know what happened was, no, it was working well, and then I showed you my little adapter thing, and I think that screwed everything up because then it reset back to default. So because you were having some issues, so I showed you my little adapter. I was saying that it is actually Kyle's hair. Number 5,432 hair was slightly out of place, and so that took about 30 minutes for just to train that one little one. But
Honestly,
it's good. So just
honestly,
don't stress, people. We got it covered. Tragedy averted.
Everyone would agree that you are more concerned about your hair than I am mine.
I have more to be worried about, and I'm losing it faster.
Do you? Are you?
Oh God, I'm bald. Are you kidding? I'm bald as complete B on top.
Well, anyway,
do you have a skullet?
Yeah. I'm not going to show you, but yes. But thank you.
Oh damn! No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
She did. No, it's true, man. Fact's a fact. Whatever.
He's got a skullet.
So it's good to be back. I think that we were all off this weekend, except Dave was here and did the Saturday marathon. I was still out of town yesterday, so we didn't do. I wasn't with Jimmy. But do either of you watch the Game of Thrones?
I watched it last night with my husband.
Oh man, aren't you so excited about it coming back?
No spoilers. People haven't watched it yet. No spoilers.
You haven't watched? Oh,
no, I only watched the first season. I couldn't make it past the first season. It wasn't bad. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'll try again one of these days.
What?
My husband watches it religiously, and he started watching it before I was on Adderall, and I have a hard time following really complex storylines.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
You know, yeah. So I know who the characters are, I guess I should say, because I've watched like most of the first season, but I don't really know what's going on. I know that there was like a really big drop last night for a relationship that made things scandalous.
Yep. This is gonna be an interesting season, I think. I no spoilers. I won't spoil it for anyone, but I think it's gonna be. I hope that they end it well. I think that they will. What else is going on? Oh, for tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about. Of course, we're going to do the 5 newsdom stories or nonsense news. After that, we're going to talk about what Jilly has been up to, which is quite a lot here recently, and then we're going to open it up for you guys to call in. You can call in. You can ask Katie questions. You can ask Steve Wright questions, and we're looking for people who either have a direct question or they disagree with us on something. Dave will be screening those calls. We appreciate everybody that is calling in to let us know, how much they love us and that sort of thing. We do love you guys back, but in order to keep it sort of interesting here, and so that people don't have to listen to just our praises all the time, let's give them a little bit of blood and talk to people who disagree with us or have a direct question. So let's. Uh-oh.
There Megatron. She goes again. There she goes.
Megatron's on the call. Anyway, Dave, let's roll the thing for the news. Okay, let's see if we can start with our first news story, and this is something for Steve to get pissed off at.
Which I do.
The ex-Pope Benedict blames abuse scandal on the sexual freedom of the 1960s. Steve, you were what? You were in your 40s in the 60s. So why don't you tell us?
Yeah, I remember the sexual revolution well from the 60s, even though I wasn't around yet. Thank you very much. I was born in the 70s. At first, I thought Benedict was dead. Is he still alive? Is he still alive? I was born in 1970. Yeah, contrary to popular belief. I looked like I was born in the 60s, but I was born in 1970. But does this guy even, does he know he's still alive?
He probably doesn't know he's still alive, but he is still alive technically. I believe medically he is still alive.
But I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead.
I did too, right?
No.
Mandela effect.
That's how insignificant. That's how insignificant the popes are to me.
It says that Benedict, who was the first pontiff to resign in almost 600 years, said the direct consequence of the 1960s period of counterculture and sexual activism in Europe and America was the collapse of the next generation of priests in those years and the very high number of the following. Back before his election to the papacy in 2005, when he was Cardinal Ratzinger, he headed the Vatican department that investigated sexual abuse. Some theologians were quick to criticize Benedict's analysis of the cause of pedophilia, which appeared to go against efforts by his successor, Pope Francis, to deal with the church's global abuse crisis. So here was the guy that was charged back in 2005 for the scandals that rocked the church. It is apparent that he didn't do that well of a job because they're still finding out things to this day. But I vehemently disagree with him on his analysis that this occurred because of the sexual freedom of the 1960s. I think that was the freedom, the sexual freedom that people found in the 1960s was for the most part a healthy thing. It was that they weren't going to continue to sort of be like, I guess, secretive or quiet or only discuss these things, behind closed doors. It was out. It was open. It was something that should be talked about. For the most part, I think it was a healthy movement. I don't think that it in any way can be to blame for the crisis that we see ourselves in today with the priests. Would you agree, Steve, Katie?
Yeah, real quick, I'll just throw my 2 cents in for this, that I think that what I see is these people doing trial balloons. The first trial balloon they did was trying to blame it all on Satan, right? They're like, oh, Satan and evil has corrupted the church. That's why we're fucking little kids, right? That's the mentality that they're kind of doing, right? So this is, to me, is just, that didn't work, right? Most people are going, hey, that's this asinine, take responsibility, had nothing to do with Satan, and they're getting a lot of backlash for it, as rightly they should. This is just another trial balloon to me. This is just another excuse. I mean, Katie, would you agree on that? You've been following this pretty close. I mean, it doesn't sound like just another excuse to try to avoid culpability for it.
Yeah, and this is, I guess this doesn't really surprise me, because I feel like this has been sort of the echo of what bishops and cardinals throughout the church have been saying since that scandal broke in Philadelphia. I mean, there was a bishop in Madison, Wisconsin, that in the fall said that the sex scandal was a product of the homosexual subculture, that has come from whatever, and so none of this really surprises me, to be honest. They always want to.
Katie. Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I have an idea for you when you're done, though.
Oh, that was it. I was just gonna say none of this really surprises me. Maybe if they could just get rid of, priests not being chased and letting them bone, there would be a whole lot of less sex abuse.
That probably will be the case one of these days. But how about we send him a bunch of Jilly juice and just tell him to have at it? That'll work.
Oh,
no.
well, he'd get an explosion of some
Drink up.
kind.
Emperor
Oh, no.
Palpatine.
It's funny that you mentioned that about the celibacy thing with priests. That's not something that was commanded and has always been the case in the church. That was something that later on, down through a succession of popes, was installed. So, and it was, I forget what the exact reason was, but it's not something that was handed down since the beginning that this had to be a rule. So why not repeal that and make it to where these priests can have a somewhat normal existence, because that can only help. You know what I mean? Like it may not be the nail in the coffin and the final end all be all to this, but it can hurt.
I always think, with how much the Catholic Church for years has hammered on that and I hate the word homosexuality because it seems really outdated. I really hate that word. But you know how they've hammered about how, it's like it's the worst thing ever. You're gonna go to hell if you're gay. So part of me has also wondered if that guilt and that shame has made like men that are gay want to go into the priesthood because they can then be celibate. Like that's another thing I've
often
wondered. Like it as a like a repressive sort of thing.
It just makes it worse, I think.
Right, exactly. Maybe. There's so many different things that make it. And then it's a cult, right? It's a straight cult.
Well, let's move on from Pope and go now to this story. This is so rich. A school trustee apologizes for calling students colored in a meeting about racial threats. A Las Vegas school board member has apologized for using an offensive phrase during a meeting on Thursday. Danielle Ford, a trustee of Nevada's Clark County School District, posted a video on Facebook to apologize for using the term colored students during the meeting about race-based threats at school. Las Vegas News 5 reports. The other one is the safety of colored students in general. These are the two different concerns, Ford said at the time, prompting outrage from parents. I would say that a few things regarding a comment I made about a school board meeting on April 11th, Ford said, I used a word that I know is extremely hurtful to a lot of people, and for that, I am deeply sorry. Thoughts?
What does the NAACP stand for again? National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Well, yeah, but I think that's the acronym stands for. I think that they keep that. I think they keep that for a historical context, not so much.
That might be true. I don't particularly like the term "colored" either, but that's I wouldn't take it as a racist thing. This is how I would handle it as an adult. If I found the term to be something pejorative, I'd be like, I don't particularly care for that term. Can you use something else? You don't make it a 5-star stink about it, because this is in the South. This is actually a well accepted term that. Even black people will call themselves the colored. Black, find something that everybody agrees upon. I don't care, but I know a lot of black people that use the word colored. I don't particularly like it. I think it is kind of offensive, but it is still the NAACP. If somebody's offended by it, just say don't use it. That's all. It's simple as that.
Oh no, Steve, no. I know of no.
I do.
African American people that would consider.
I don't know.
Use that word.
The only person I know that used this word is my grandma, and she's dead.
Yeah, the older people especially, right? Yeah.
But people say people of color, which is way different than saying colored. Colored is like that's derogatory, and it's separatist, and it's not, in 2019. No.
Yeah, we.
I agree with that. That's what term should we use then, Kyle?
African American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, but they're not all from Africa. I find that to be weird.
But that's what they. Oh no.
That's where they originally.
What do you refer to people who are of darker complexion, Steve?
Black. I'm white.
Black, I think, is fine. I don't see anything wrong with black. If we're being,
black is beautiful.
Sure, I don't have an issue with black. Colored though, colored is colored has this connotation of back when you had like the Jim Crow laws and
Sure.
everything was still discriminated. You know, in my head, I just picture the signs like colored water fountain only, or that sort of thing. That's the sort of the thing that comes up when I see or hear that. And I think that the NAACP only keeps that for historical context just because of the institution. But however, I think that somebody in regards to this story, I think somebody that is a school trustee having a meeting about racial threats, she should have thought about this. Like, you should think about these things. You should have something prepared and not go off the cuff. And you should know that of all the words that you probably could have used, colored in this context, in this situation, is a really bad idea. Like a really bad idea.
It's a bad decision. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking to a group of people, I mean, even you, Kyle, you can rap, but when you come across certain words, even you go, I think I'm going to hold off on that particular word, right? Because you're probably not going to get away with it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But why take the chance, right? I think she could have gone a different route, yes. Because I don't particularly like the word either. I do find it to be distasteful. But I don't like the word queer either. But of course, people in the gay community, they now accepted that term and they use that term, even though in my generation that was a pejorative. I don't like using it.
I think you got to go with what the groups want to use. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the most part,
it changes though. You never know half the time. Right? What's acceptable
to
one day maybe not be tomorrow.
That's why you have to talk to them. I can't believe we're having an argument about I can't.
Okay.
How about Nubian goddesses?
Oh, Steve.
Right, let's go to
black women are gorgeous. I'm a big fan, actually. They are beautiful women.
Katie, just for you, I decided to put in 2 Florida stories tonight.
Yay!
So, here we go.
Is this one by date? Is this one by date, by the way? You pick up any date.
Florida man threatens to destroy a town with his army of turtles, warning police that they should never have fucked with the saint as he's arrested for shouting obscenities in the streets. Oh, yeah. This is true.
Destroy it.
Only in Florida.
Police received...
Only in Florida.
Let me just go ahead and tell you, though. Believe it or not, this is not the funniest story from Florida tonight. This is just an appetizer.
Teaser?
Police received multiple calls from Sunday afternoon regarding Thomas Devaney Lane, 61, for disturbing the peace at several businesses, including Starbucks, Cafe Surfinista, and Sassy Granny Smoothies. Upon his arrest, Lane is said to have warned officers that his turtle army will destroy everyone and wreak havoc on the local area as revenge for his apprehension. Authorities escorted him back to the police department headquarters, where Lane reportedly pounded on the glass and walls before hastily exiting the station before booking officer could speak with him. He was later found in his car parking lot of a 7-Eleven, where eyewitnesses say the 61-year-old was cursing at customers as they entered the store. As police approached him for the second time, Lane dialed 911 and allegedly told the operator and the responding officers needed to leave now or you will all be sorry you fucked with the saint. I will call my turtles to descend down upon you and wreak havoc.
Is he a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, maybe?
That's
funny.
That was the turtles. Yeah,
Professor
Gaines. That was
the
first thing that I thought of too.
Professor Gaines just asked if they were trained with ninja weapons.
That's fantastic.
I know we're into the Ninja Turtles, so like maybe he's got a grandson or something, and then he was just like hitting up the meth pipe, and then he was like, "Whoa, I'm at this parking lot and Ninja Army, woohoo!"
Army of Turtles. Yeah, it is true. If you go to Google and you type in Florida man and any day, just any date, whatever, in news, there's always going to be a story from that date with some Florida man that did some stupid shit. Go try it out. Just type in Florida man and then the date news, and you're going to find every day there's something in Florida.
Well, wait till you see what the the government's like in Florida. Let's go to the next one, Dave. Tiny town, big charges. A Florida mayor accused of rampant drug use, playing doctor, and attempted murder while in office. At first glance, Port Richey seems like a typical small Florida town on the Gulf Coast, quiet and laid back. Look closer, though, and you'll find allegations of corruption that would grab major headlines in the biggest of cities. In 2015, Dale Masad was elected mayor of Port Richey, which sits about 25 miles northwest of downtown Tampa. In February 2019, police said that a SWAT team visited his house to serve a warrant, only to have Masad fire 2 shots at them and leave in handcuffs. He's lucky he's not dead, they said. In between, according to the Tampa Bay Times, prosecutors alleged that while he was in office, Masad paid for and regularly used crack cocaine and methamphetamine. Masad served as a doctor for his friends, stitching them up at his home. A man who lived in an apartment attached to Masad's home for about 4 months told state law enforcement agents that he saw the mayor smoke and eat crystal-like meth. He also said that at times Masad would snort meth before playing golf. Masad, who is 68, faces 5 charges of premeditated attempted homicide and felony charges of practicing medicine without a license and unlawful use of a 2-way communications device, all stemming from the February arrest. Before the SWAT team visit, Port Richey police told agents that he saw a scalpel on the counter while at Masad's house. According to court records obtained by the Times, Masad said he was just helping some people out that couldn't afford medical insurance. How creepy is that?
God.
How creepy. Okay, look at this mugshot. Look at this mugshot. Would you let this guy
that says meth? Nothing
operate
about
on
his eyes.
you?
I mean, they're perfectly round. Nothing about that says crack cocaine to me. Nothing.
He looks like
That
he's
is
from New
frightening.
They're kind of close
Jersey.
together.
That's frightening.
I feel like what's his name? He looks like his name would be Gino, and he's from New Jersey.
Nope. His name is Masad.
Assad.
Believe it or not, though, he was a mayor. Like, somebody elected this guy to be the mayor of
God.
your town, and the mayor is operating on people because they don't have medical insurance. What is going on? Like, seriously, what's going on in the world? Like, this is, and then he shoots at agents. He shoots at the SWAT team. This is the mayor.
I'm surprised he's not dead. How is this guy still alive? He got lucky.
This guy is like, I have a friend that he could hang out with.
But if you thought that was wild, that hails in comparison to our final story. Chaos at Walmart. As a woman performs karate, son exposes himself and dog steals food, police say. Now I'm going to give everyone here just a second to.
It's almost as good as the lady that was like using all the vibrators at Walmart.
Oh, this is way better. This is way better. Let me pull up my my story here. Okay. Chaos descended on a Wisconsin Walmart store Wednesday night after a karate performing mother, her naked son, and their belligerent dog shoplifted and ran amok in the store. The Eau Claire Police Department said on social media that the officers responded to a call that a woman, who is Lisa Smith, and her dog Bo shoplifted items from the store. The woman's son, 26-year-old Benny Van, was causing chaos in the store as well. Police learned that Smith came into the shop with Bo unleashed, the dog immediately running off towards customers, while the woman was pulling apart displays in the store and placing them in her cart. After being told to leave, the woman began showing off her karate moves in the parking lot to fend off police officers. The dog tried to flee the crime scene, albeit unsuccessfully, with a box of Jiffy cornbread muffin mix in his mouth. And after a brief fight with officers, Smith was arrested as a last-ditch attempt. She attempted to kick a window out of a police car. Her son, meanwhile, was getting fully naked and began exposing himself to other customers at the store. He then tried to cover himself with new clothes from the store without intending to pay for them, police said. After the officers confronted Van, he threatened to run over them with a scooter, prompting the police to use physical force to stop the scooter and arrest the man.
And this is different from any other weekend in Walmart. How?
I know it's like I know it was like way in the early of the story, but my favorite part was she was like dismantling displays.
You're being you're an incompetent, delusional moron.
And putting them in her cart.
You can't write a story better than that. I don't think that is absolutely Walmart to a T. I think it's so great.
They should have
happen.
Maybe
Was this
it would only have been better if the lady that was using like the 37 dildos would have been there too.
Was this particular Walmart in Florida? Come on now.
No, it was in Wisconsin, of course, because Wisconsin is crazy.
What do? They get together before they go to Walmart and say, okay, son, what I want you to do is I want you to get naked in the middle of the aisles, put some clothes on, and we'll steal them that way while I do some karate chopping, and we'll let the dog run around eating food. I don't even know how this stuff even comes to be.
You can't make this stuff up. I don't think it is amazing how this is the epitome of what you would think Walmart craziness is. Like, you couldn't have written a better story than this, I don't think. But let's move away from this and to what we are going to be talking about tonight, which is Jillian has finally laid down the law, so to speak, and has officially filed against Katie. And Katie has been on the phone with the courts for the past 2 days. But Katie, fill us in on what Jillian is suing you for exactly.
Okay, you guys. So I haven't even really been. P.S. I haven't been officially served. I haven't received the official serves. So I had to call the court because I had a letter or a missed thing, from the post office or whatever. So I had to call the court and I was like, well, what does it say? And they're like, it says, Katie Joy Mansky-Paulson has been making libelous, slanderous publications that are unsubstantiated, which have caused undue harm and stress to my family and my person.
Huh.
Okay. Does she have damages? Because you have to have some kind of
damages.
What does she claim for damages?
$4,608.
From
whoa. How does she break that down? Like, how do you get the $8? What's the
I don't know.
what's the $4,008?
Someone actually pointed this out to me. It's 468. So maybe she has like OCD or something. I have no idea. I have an attorney helping me, and he was like, well, that's a very specific number.
Yeah. So she sued in Michigan or Ohio?
In Ohio. Mm-hmm. Small claims court.
Doesn't she have to sue where you are?
Well, first of all, she's suing me in small claims court, which is interesting, you guys, because you can't sue for libel or defamation or punitive damages or for copyright or for, malicious prosecution or harassment. Anything that has like damages, it has to be like for physical property or reimbursement for contracts or petty disputes with like that type of stuff. You cannot sue in small claims court for defamation.
Yeah,
and it literally
small claims are for restitution to make people whole. It's if you injured me by contract or something like that, or I have something of yours, or there's some kind of negotiation that money's taking place. That's what you have small claims court. If I think that you have copyrights that you can't, and I've looked into this, copyright you can't do through small claims. You're done. You have to go through federal court, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
federal court. And then and then for libel or for defamation, you have to go through district court.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to get kicked back, obviously. So she's not really going to be able to sue you for this.
No, but it's taking up so much of my time. It's annoying as F.
Well, now, see, there's the thing. You can sue her for frivolous lawsuit or whatever, and the time that you've wasted on this.
I could.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, so I have a friend. The nice thing is that in small claims court, you don't really have to use a attorney. But because this is like against my business, I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing is, to the letter of the law. And so I have a friend that I've known since I've been a kid, and he is a litigator and he handles small business stuff, and he's done cases like this. So I don't have to actually hire him. He's just giving me he's counseling me. But then if she tries to appeal it, or if say she wants to go to district court, he has all these different plans in his head of what we're gonna do. It's ridiculous.
Can you go on Judge Judy?
That show even on?
No, we're trying to, you know what Jeff is trying to get us to go on to Dr. Phil.
That would actually be good, though.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
has she said anything about this, like on her streams? There for a while she was putting out recently several videos, all of us.
Yeah, so she was alluding to it all last week that this was coming. She was like, I'm working on something big. I know the law, so she was like, I can't tell you what it is, that type of thing. And then I get the letter in the mail, and I am like, this is the stupidest thing in my life. So I end up calling the Attorney General of Ohio, because they have open complaints against her. And I'm like, she's like threatening journalists, and she's frivolously suing me. And they're like, I'm like, do you know she's still making baseless claims? They're like, oh yeah, we're watching her. They're like, but we can't help you with this.
But what does she? What does she even think that she could even collect on? I mean, in order to have defamation, you not only you have to have damages you have to show, but the truth is always a defense. You've said nothing that isn't correct.
Well, right. So here's the thing. In terms of defamation, the way that my attorney friend explained this to me is that you actually have to be able to prove that the words that were spoken by the person that wrote the words completely damaged your reputation so much that it impacted people from doing business with you. And you have to have
permission to begin with.
Right. And you have to be able to prove with affidavits that somebody was going to buy your product or sign up for whatever you offer, and they read something that I wrote that was false, and that made them decide not to do business with you, which means you have to have affidavits, which cost money. And then I figured it out, because the only product she has is a book, and I think she sells it for $19. She needs to find 245 people.
That's never gonna happen.
Okay. But then the thing is that I explained this yesterday. I didn't get into this game until August, and she had already been on Dr. Phil. Jeff Holiday had already done the Tale of Salt and Poo. She had already been on Dr. Phil and literally said that it'll regrow limbs and cure the gay. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you weren't ever going to get a job, it was because of what you said on Dr. Phil.
Yeah, right. It's hard to damage somebody's reputation when they don't have one, and it's already been shit. I mean, she has no reputation to even damage. This is what I find comical. If she was an upstanding, citizen, and you did put out some liable things, and she can show that it did affect her business, like a business was going to do something with her, and they read your stuff, and you put out some false stuff, and they say, hey, we're going to take away our $1 million contract with her, then she would have a case, right? But I don't see how she even thinks. Does she really believe that she has a reputation to even damage? I mean, does her mind so far gone that she thinks that she has a good reputation in the communities?
The thing is that she thinks that I have destroyed her good name. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, Jeff Holiday actually did a stream about this yesterday, and he made some really good points. The only person that's damaging her reputation is herself. And he actually said on his stream, if you could blame anyone for this mess other than you, I was literally the person that got all of this started. So why aren't you going after me? Why are you picking Katie? Katie hasn't done anything. and he basically called her a coward for going after me. And she picks me because she thinks I'm weak and I'm going to like roll over. And the thing is that when she made all of these threatening phone calls, she didn't call any men. She didn't call Jeff. She didn't call Miles Powers. She didn't call any of the men that have written about her that have been negative. She only called women, and she only targeted female journalists. And that's very strategic on her part because she doesn't want to deal with the men.
That says we always win. Men rule, girls rule. It's just
I guess. But I'm like literally like I came into this in August. By that point, BuzzFeed had already written an article about the death associated with Bruce Wilmot. She'd already been on Dr. Phil, where 2 women admitted to having strokes. She had already had the Attorney General opening an investigation on her. She had the FTC investigating her. So it wasn't like anything I did made anything worse. I didn't call her a murderer. I mean, I don't think anyone called her a murderer. She just.
I think you've.
No, but somebody could say I think she's morally culpable.
What did you say?
You've probably gone after the most viciously, though. Like,
Yeah, well, rightfully so, but yeah, but
sure.
But that's what she does. I mean, that's what a blog is supposed to do, is go after people. That's what her job as a writer to do. But I wouldn't call her a murderer, but I do think Jillian is morally culpable.
Did you read the Daily Mail, and did you read the BuzzFeed articles? They went after her. Trust me. Like
they really went after her.
Oh yeah, everyone has gone after her. Everyone.
Maybe it's just because like you instead for her it'd be easier to go after an individual than it would be like a company like BuzzFeed and that sort of thing. They would have like an army of lawyers at their disposal.
It's because I'm an independent contractor.
I mean, do you think she's actually doing this for any kind of actual damages and restitution, or do you think she's doing it to try to send a message to intimidate you?
My attorney thinks that she's trying to intimidate me.
Yeah, that's the read I get as well.
My attorney said that she's not doing this for money because he has no case. And he said that when people do this sort of stuff, it's to silence and intimidate. And I was like, well, that's kind of like extortion in a way. And he was like, yeah, kind of.
Well, that's why in Europe and other countries, if you sue somebody and you lose, you pay the court costs. The loser pays.
Right. So if we already have like this, if they won't dismiss it, he has this next steps, and the next step would be that she has to pay all of my court costs along with all of my lost wages for all of the time that I've had to spend dealing with this frivolous lawsuit.
Good.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. So has you're the only one that's been named in a lawsuit?
Mm-hmm.
And what are your next steps?
Well, I filed a response today with the court, and I worked with my attorney on that, and we are requesting a dismissal based on the fact that she can't sue me for defamation, and the court doesn't have jurisdiction to even like render a verdict or whatever, a judgment on that. And then I'm also out of their physical jurisdiction, so that court doesn't have any jurisdiction over me. So she can't actually sue me in that court because they can't impose a judgment over me because I didn't have any business agreements with her. I didn't have any business relationships with her. Like if I had a contract with her and she lived in Ohio, then she could, but we didn't have a contract. We didn't have a business relationship.
Someone is wanting to know, have he talked about the doxing yet? What is that about?
Oh God, she's been doxing me like crazy. Insane. Doxing me all the time. Like she has been, so I was actually talking to Jeff about this today. I have a whole folder of all of the doxing that she's been doing to me in the last like probably 3 weeks. She has, in the last 3 weeks, done a live stream where she called me on the phone, which we did, where she actually put the phone up and you can see my phone number on there, and she released financial information about me. She told people where I lived. She did multiple updates where she put where I went to college, the city I live in, who my employer is. She did other updates where she talks about my son and how he has autism and that I'm the cause of his autism. She put the court case number up, which if you go to the docket includes my phone number, my email, my address, and my full name. Like, she has put my full name on there. She has given people directions to report me to the Better Business Bureau. She has given people directions to report me to the Attorney General. She has called me by the phone, which my phone number is not listed. My phone number is private. She has, it's like insane. There was one day where I literally had more than 50 like different messages all over from all my different platforms of her commenting.
You should sue her for that. I'm sure that you can recover very nicely from a court, that sort of thing, because they don't, from my understanding, that's something that they consider extremely serious.
Stalking.
Well, yeah. So my attorney
exactly.
said that my attorney said that the doxing is criminal harassment, and so we can actually like file police charges against her for that.
Yeah, that's not civil. That's a criminal matter. Yeah,
it is. It's a criminal matter. And he said, they don't always get handled on the criminal end, but he said the fact that she has done it so frequently, it's showing a pattern. And then she's, she hasn't made any like physical threats to me, but she's always talking about, the fact that she has guns and stuff. And she'll go after her trolls if she needs to and that kind of stuff. And so, she's just very unstable. So, it's, what she's doing right now is trying to like get me to shut up about her. And then she's like doxing me to get people to come after me. But then even she doesn't have anyone that's interested in her anymore. And so she has literally no one supporting her doing this. It's insane.
Do you think that talking about her is at this point, like you said, she's kind of been marginalized after Dr. Phil, after Jeff, and a whole bunch of other BuzzFeed. I mean, she's got at the point where I don't even know how she even bothers with this stuff anymore. She has to be a diehard believer because I don't think she's really making any revenue off any of this, of anything substantial.
She's never made money.
So she's never made money. So she's just a whack job that believes this for whatever reason. So I mean, do you think that at this point, giving her exposure is emboldening her more or doing more harm, or do you think keeping on the pressure? Because like she's not going to come after us. And if she did, I'd tell her to fuck off, right? I mean, I'm not going to be intimidated by any stretch of imagination. Plus, I haven't done anything. But do you think that even talking about her is even something? Is it causing more harm than good by giving her exposure? Is what I'm asking.
Well, the thing is, like, nobody was talking about her. We hadn't been talking about her until recently. And that's how this all precipitated, is that I hadn't written about her in months and months. And it was because she became irrelevant. And it was when she started threatening me is when I started speaking about her. And that's when she started getting everybody involved. And so she's yelling at Jeff, and she's yelling at Miles, and she's yelling at you guys, and she's yelling at the Daily Mail and BuzzFeed and Newsweek and, everybody. And, part of me is like, is she doing this to get media exposure? Is this all like part of her plot to get more attention? I don't know. But there are real consequences because I'm in the middle of this right now, and it's very stressful.
Yeah.
Is that a path that you would be willing to go down? Is seeking damages for the harassment and things that she's been putting you through?
Yes.
Good.
We will absolutely file criminal charges if we need to.
Good.
Okay. Now, when you say if you need to, what is going to like? My question is, why aren't you already pursuing that? Like that should be something that you're actively
waiting for a better case.
No, our hope is that we don't have to go that route, because our hope is that we don't have to take like the criminal side into it. We will go there. Like if she doesn't stop in a day or two, yeah, I'll be calling the police. I already called I literally already called Canton Police Department. So I've already called them. But I need to file it with my local police department. And it's just more like I'm just been so swamped having to deal with the courts. But yes, what we can do is we can file police report for harassment, and then request a restraining order, and then also send her a cease and desist letter. But typically what you would do first is send a cease and desist, and then you file charges.
You know, a part of me hope it doesn't escalate to that point, because I can tell it is stressful. There's no question about it. How can it not be? But a part of me still wants to see her get her comeupping, and you know, the Shandaford in me, that if you actually go after her criminally, I'm going to be okay with that, right? So it's one of those things. I don't want you to have extra stress, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs to get swatted down.
You could be the avenue that puts her away and stops her from harming people.
Right. I agree, because she does harm people.
Like, she hasn't made any physical threats to me, and so the problem is that, right, but that's the problem with right now. If I filed a report against her, nothing would probably happen criminally. That's sort of where we're at, because it's all just sort of like blanket. You know, you have to establish a pattern of harassment.
Yeah, implied threats don't do very much good. For example, if she starts talking to you, but she also happens to be talking about she's, you know, has guns and she's, you know, a sharpshooter, blah, blah, whatever it is. That's all implicit stuff. That doesn't, the courts don't really care about that. There has to be some kind of explicit threat that they can look at. Because if she says, look, I'm going to find you, I'm going to come after you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this, she's done at that point. I mean, but that's what something she needs to actually say. So if anybody sees her say anything like that, capture that. That's what would be game over for her.
And that's the problem, is that we live 900 miles apart. And so my lawyer said that, you know, the court isn't going to look at this as like it's menacing and it's a nuisance.
Yeah.
But the probability of her actually like harming me physically is low, very low. And so, you know.
You never want to take that risk, though. You
know, I know.
It's usually the cases where you think it's not going to happen, that it does happen, and you know, nobody wants that sort of surprise. So I would take every single precaution that you can, and act like she is a real dangerous, credible threat that could happen tomorrow, because the ones that you take lightly are always the ones that sneak up on you, and something bad happens always.
Yeah, I live by the same model.
He said based on where we're at right now, we could easily get a restraining order.
Oh, easily. Yeah, that's a given. But I live by the same model that there might be a small percentage, right? There's very, very low probabilities. My address is out there. People can find me, no problem. I mean, you can Google where I live. Be my guest, right? There's a small probability some psycho might one day come after me, but I also have precautions as well. I'm not going to go into details, but I guarantee you, if somebody comes after me, they're probably not going to leave standing up. But you have to treat it like it is.
That's because Steve, you put them to sleep with your theories and definitions.
We're going to talk about philosophy for 2 hours with them. But yeah,
well, you know, my husband,
Kyle's right. Treat it like a legit threat, even if it is low probability.
It's interesting that you have brought that up. With my line of work, my husband has talked very extensively about wanting to get protection in our home because of the nature of my job. Because he wants to be able to protect the family if he needs to. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to him doing that if he wanted to. We've never had them in the house, but I mean, I can understand his desire to want to protect me.
Sure. Yeah, everybody in this household that I'm at is ex-military. What does that tell you? And one of the guys is about 280 pounds, all muscle. I mean, those protein drinks, those protein things you buy, like the big 5-gallon protein powder things. He goes through like one of those a week kind of thing. The guy's just, he's not going to take kindly to
something. I think there's something else going on though right now, because she's been deleting everything on her Facebook. She's been like taking down all of her posts. She's been removing her videos. She's like, yesterday said that she was like taking her website down. She's going to be like, she says she's writing a new book and it's only going to be available via paperback. She's taking all of her electronic communication off the table. I feel like there's something that she's not telling people. Someone's investigating her right now, and I think there's something maybe that doing this to me is a diversion of some sort. But she's been doing a lot of things like, I need to remove this and I'm going to get rid of that. And she's like, she's taking the form down, and she's like, I just think there's pressure coming from somewhere right now, and I don't know where. I mean, the Attorney General said that they're watching her. The FTC continues to watch her. Local law enforcement know about her, so it's not like she's.
I would encourage your husband to definitely do that, because like I said, you just, it would be better to have like have a gun in the house and not need it than to need it and not have it in this situation. When you have somebody that's, especially with the kind of work that you do, and you having a child in the house, that's definitely something I think should be on the table.
I am all for having weapons, but my big thing is safety. Gun safety. I mean, responsible gun safety, right? I mean, I'm sure your family is, but there's a lot of people out there that own guns that should not own firearms. They don't know the basics of firearm safety. If you have firearm safety, then guns are amazing things. But if you don't know the firearm safety, you should not ever own a firearm or be in a house with one. So all people should be trained in firearms if you go around guns.
Of course, they need to be put up and locked up properly so that your son doesn't have access to it and all that stuff. But I'm all for responsible gun ownership. I do not advocate in any situation when you're in a situation where you have people that have guns, have said that they've had guns, have shown that they've had guns, and are a little unstable, and that threat is always there. I do not think that is a situation that you should be gunless in, even if you never need it.
Kyle, you remember one of the old roommates I had? We had firearms around, and we were very happy that we did, in case we ever needed it for this guy. So I mean, you have to take threats like seriously. I mean, the guy attacked me one time. I literally had to take him down to the ground. So you never know. I mean, even if there's a small possibility, but who knows what this chick's capable of? I mean, she sounds like her brain is being rotted.
Yeah, I think what's really, and I talked to my attorney about this, is what makes me mad is that she's doing this to intimidate me and to silence me. And so if I do all of those things, I basically have to be silent. And that's what pisses me off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, once I take that step, I have to disengage from everything. And I am effectively silenced. And that's exactly what she wants.
Yeah. You can't seem like you're provoking her either.
Correct. I can't keep poking the bear, as he said.
Right.
And I'm really like, honestly, at this point, I don't really have anything to like say about her. This is like, I'm pissed off that she's suing me. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I
so
think
when are you gonna have resolution, you think? Oh, good.
We've covered everything that there is to cover about Jilly Juice up to this point, right? I mean, what else can be said about it?
Yeah.
Not much.
Like, there's nothing at all to say about her. I mean, the protocol doesn't work. She has no basis in understanding of science. I mean, that's all you really have to say.
And she thinks that's libelous. She thinks that's libel by saying that. Hey, Jilly, your shit don't work. It is crap. It doesn't work. I will say it right here and now. It doesn't work. If you can demonstrate that it cures gay people or regrows limbs, I will give you everything that I own. Okay. And if you can't, you need to shut the hell up and go away and never talk about this stuff again. Which
she said in a live,
so it's a big deal.
She said in a stream yesterday that like she's doing this to defend her baby, to defend her protocol, to to defend the science, and that she's going to let the court of law decide if salt is good or if salt is bad, because she thinks that's what this all comes down to, and she thinks it's a belief system. Yeah, she thinks it's a belief system that we think that salt is bad, and none of us are saying that salt is bad. It's the amount of salt.
Yeah, has she ever found a
Correct.
doctor at all that has ever sided with her that thinks that drinking, for example, you drink ocean water. The
Oh.
reason why ocean water kills you is because it acts as osmosis and your intestines dry out. It actually, the water will be drawn
Right.
out of your intestines, drying them up, and you die. This is why you can't drink ocean water. Same principle here. You're drinking a very, very high concentrated solution of salt, which is going to cause intestinal drying. And by the way, you also go through your electrolytes. You can die from having too much salt, not enough salt. So
Make you
does she
delirious.
find any doctor that ever said that they in any way agree with her and anything? I mean, there's no possible way she has any testimonial.
No, well, she has. Oh, today she has a testimonial that someone's vision got better.
Oh, for
What a dope. She's a Muppet. She's literally the definition of a Muppet.
She is a Muppet.
Oh man.
Such an idiot. Like
I just can't stand these people. I don't know, man. I never thought years ago when you'd be sitting around talking about people that drink fermented cabbage juice, salted. I don't know, man. It's just bizarre to me.
She's in her death row, and that's what I put on in the title. The end is near, because this is the death throes of her empire. She is now, she's reacting in a way like an animal does when it's cornered, and she's lashing out at Katie because she's the closest and what she perceives as the easiest target, even though it's going to backfire on her horribly. From last week, she was trying to apologize to me, and then when I didn't accept her apology, the next day she was saying all of this shit about me. I mean, she's just in her death throes, and her protocol is a joke now. Katie, is there anybody? Is there any like a core group that still exists that still adhere to this protocol, or is they've broken up too?
She has like Kevin, and then she's got a couple women, like a woman named Marissa, and maybe a couple other friends, but not. I mean, it's very small. Yeah, it's very small at this point. Very small.
Yeah, she's
it's funny because,
the end is nigh.
Well, it's funny because Jeff was like, he goes, you know what? He goes, what did he say? He goes, Katie, this lawsuit's going to be very good for your career. and I was like,
gonna hurt, right? It's only gonna hurt.
And he's like, because she's very well known, and like now she's suing you, so now people are going to know who you are, and I'm gonna do shows about you, and I'm gonna get you subscribers because I hate her, and people should support you. And so, he did a live stream yesterday, and he had people like he was like screaming at her and yelling at her, and he was just like, I'm gonna get Katie every single supporter, every blah blah blah. He's literally had almost 1,000 of his viewers subscribe to my channel in the last day.
Good. I think that's kind of awesome. And by the way, yeah, you know what? I said it backwards. It's actually going to draw water into your intestines because it comes out, right? Because that's where you get the waterfalls. If you've ever had what's called polyethylene glycol, they have it for constipation. You drink like 4 liters of this stuff. It has the same effect. Yeah. It is not a pleasant experience. Why you would want to voluntarily do it when you don't have to, I don't know. But they're right. It draws water into your intestines and it dehydrates you.
Well,
but,
the prescription brand for what Steve is talking about is actually called Go Lightly. Yes, it's called Go Lightly.
It's called irony. Wait, it's called what?
Go Lightly.
Go Lightly. The polyethylene glycol is called Go Lightly. I didn't know there was a common name for it.
That's what it's called. Go Lightly.
It's Go Lightly.
Wow.
They use it for colonoscopies.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you, it works. It really, really, really works. But it's something you don't want to do all the time. No.
And Dave, you can go ahead and we'll switch back over to where all 3 of us are on the left side, and we'll put up the number to call. We'll open up the lines. If you have any questions for Katie, Steve, or myself, or any comments, anything that you disagree with us on, we want to hear from you. As much as we love to hear from you guys who want to tell us how much you appreciate us, drop us a line in an email. We're going to try to keep this so that we can actually have a dynamic conversation here. And I know that a lot of people just don't want to hear about how much the masses love Steve, I, or Katie, even though we love hearing that stuff. Yes. So Dave, if you'll put up the number. The number will be on your screen here in just a second.
Don't have the number, Kyle.
Yeah, you do. I sent it to you. It's
I'll
in
start it off
Messenger.
while we're waiting for people. Katie, I had a chance to read your article on vaccinations and your argument that anti-vaxxers are terrorists. Remember, I was going to tell you I was going to read that.
Yeah.
And I'm not fully convinced by your argument, but I will tell you that you make very good, valid points.
Thank you.
So I'm still mulling this over because you did make some really valid points in that article. I just don't know if I'm convinced that word fits. But I'm not saying that you're wrong on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you did make.
Well, I got my biggest endorsement when the Skeptical Raptor endorsed me and did an entire blog about how I am like his new favorite like voice in this little like
really
world.
No,
and
it was really good.
Yeah.
It made you think.
So
It
I
made
was
you
like,
think. I mean, it's a hard argument to push. It's a hard narrative.
he said that it was a very well put together argument, and he's a doctor, so I was like, awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was as well. Yeah. I just,
when you
like
look
I said,
at
I'm
the
not
data,
quite convinced by it yet, but it's not a bad argument.
Well, we have 555 cases of the measles right now. We had 90 cases added last week. Well, here's an example of why they're terrorists. While the health department in New York was trying to control this. Oh.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
I really didn't think that I would get through.
Well, you have. Who are we speaking with? Hello?
Hello? Are you shy?
Hello?
Did you forget what you're going to say?
Oh, sorry. I
Jillian?
couldn't hear anyone.
Okay, but you can hear us now.
Can't hear us.
No,
yeah,
Dave,
I can hear
don't
you
think she
now.
can hear us. Oh, okay.
Well, who are we speaking
what you got
with?
for us? Oh, yeah. Who are you and what do you want to Cameron.
Yes.
Okay. What can we do for you, Cameron?
Well, I know you didn't want a lot of people calling to say that they just love y'all, but I do love Kyle and Katie. But I do kind of take issue with what you said earlier, Steve, about people being okay with the term colored people.
Okay. What you got?
I knew this was going to happen.
I'm sorry.
Well, by the way, it's
but
not all people. It's just, I mean,
kind of hard for me to hear some of your justifications, saying things like at the end when you said, well, I find black women beautiful, like
I do.
Saying that you're sexually attracted to a group doesn't mean that you respect them.
I'm sexually attracted to a lot of people, a lot of groups. Yeah, I mean,
I
mean, well, I don't. I think, but here's the thing: I don't find anything wrong by saying you're sexually attracted to a certain group. Kyle is attracted to men. He's attracted to a certain group.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that you were saying you were almost using that as a justification for your opinion, saying obviously I respect this group, I'm attracted to them.
What's she doing?
I'm not a racist because I have a black friend, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I find that argument to be really strange, actually, though, to be honest with you. I mean, it's one of those things like the whole word itself, right? Back in my day, that was what was the word to be used, right? This is what we were told. This is what you have to refer to, and words changed by different groups. This is what Katie said. You know, you ask people what you want to be referred to as, kind of thing, because it does change. Like I won't use the word queer, even though that's acceptable nowadays, right? It's just because that's the way I was raised.
Well, that's a whole other issue I won't get into, but I do think that it is important to understand that, you know, language and things like that do change. It's important to use the terminology that the group prefers. And I'm actually from Louisiana, so I also took issue with your justification that that's commonly used in the South, because being born and raised here and living, you know, like 40 minutes from New Orleans my whole life, that is not used, and people would not appreciate that being used. You know,
when I was down in the South, that's when I was down there, that's what was preferred. Now things may have changed, but you can't just say that that's not in my experience. Because I'm going by my experience, right? Now, if something has changed since then, that's great. But what is the preferred thing now?
People of color. I don't know anyone that has an issue with the term black if they are black. You know, but I think colored people is just extremely antiquated at this point and not acceptable.
Okay,
and
so you can say people of color.
There's a difference between that and queer, because you know,
and just walk back.
Well, hang on. So I want to make sure. So color, people of color is considered to be okay, but colored is not. But black,
Because
like
you
I
have to
said,
do,
that's what I generally use.
Steve, it's people
Okay.
first language. Colored implies that that's all that they are. People of color implies it's a person first,
Yeah,
and they have
I'm
a
not one
color.
of those language police people. I get the ideas, but I'm not a
That's
police for
not
language.
language
But
policing.
Here's
That's-
color.
that's-
Let me speak to that. Here's why colored is offensive. I'll just speak to that. Here's why there's a difference between somebody saying people of color and somebody who's colored. Colored is attached to a very distinct time period in which it was used to discriminate. Like I said, it goes back to the signs that you used to see, colored water fountain, the Jim Crow laws. That word is attached to that sort of memory in time.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't
Also,
particularly use it. But you got, like I said, I see people do use it because that's what they were told was the acceptable term, and that's just been in their repertoire.
I would
Come
also
on,
like.
Steve. You're online. You're on Twitter.
Hang
Why
on.
do you always do this contrarian stuff? Is this just like what you do?
I'm not contrarian. No, I'm like literally the anti. I'm literally the anti-contrarian. I tell people what I think, and I actually do believe. That's not contrarian.
I swear to God,
is when you
fight about every word. You fight about every word. It makes.
Can I tell you, right before I came on here, you decided you needed a topic to fill the time, and you brought up Katie's article just to talk about how she had one word wrong, how you didn't agree with the use of one word, that you are the epitome of a contrarian.
Hang on. What word? And no, again, contrarian is a person who talks about things they don't maybe necessarily believe just to have an argument. Everything I say, I do believe. I am very straightforward. I don't say things just because I don't believe it. But what word are you referring to with Katie?
Terrorist.
Oh, because this is because her and I had talked about this, and I told her I would get back to her on it. I wasn't sure if that was the appropriate word to be used. Her argument is that anti-vaxxers are terrorists. That's why that was her total argument. That was her blog. So that's why it was something to be discussed. What is contrarian about that? She was arguing literally in her blog that anti-vaxxers are terrorists. So I don't know what the issue with that one word is.
It's a word that shouldn't be used anymore. Let's just agree there.
Do we have to argue that you just shouldn't use the word? Can you just say I won't use the word?
I don't use the word. But I don't use the word, so I don't know why it's even an argument. I say people ask me what word I use
because you defended the use of the word and saying that it's something you heard used in the South. You threw out all these defenses for it, and if you don't think it's acceptable, then just leave it at that.
Oh my God, Steve, this is why you get into so many Twitter fights. This is it.
Because I stand my ground on things. Yeah, I don't see an issue with it. Now, again, if some people find issue with it, that's great. I'm not one of those people. What do you want me to tell you? I don't find. Look, if somebody's offended by it, I will say I'm not going to use that word. I don't use the word anyways, right? So it's not a big deal. But I'm offended by the N word. But you still use the N word, right? I don't use it, but people still use it. People use words. And so when I say certain things, I use the words that I'm comfortable with, right? I say black. What's wrong with that? Is that acceptable now to use black? Are we on the same page?
That is acceptable. Although I would
like to point
out it's generally best to use the words that the group itself finds comfortable. So you might be okay with slurs and things, but that doesn't matter if the group's not okay with it. The same thing with the reclamation of the word queer.
Okay that you said,
so that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, he said the group is good with black, right? So let's leave it at that. We'll go with black. Dave, you wanted to add something, but you got stepped on.
Well, I was just going to say that when people use the word used past tense and the word colored and this goes back to the Jim Crow laws, they were actually saying that as a noun. Colored was a noun. It wasn't an adjective. It wasn't a verb. It was a noun. So they're colored. The coloreds, they would pluralize it just like it was a noun.
People of colored would be referred to as colored back then.
Right.
But
the point being is it objectifies the person as that thing as opposed to a person. And that's the problem with colored.
Yeah, no, and there's something said for that, but I think it's up to the individual.
Cameron, right? Cameron?
Sorry?
Is that what you said your name
was?
Yeah,
I'm here.
You said your name was Cameron? Okay. Thank you very much for calling and making our first call. So This is what we're looking for, guys. This is the template to base the future calls on. We want people to come in and disagree and sort of give us a what for. Cameron, thank you so much for calling in and starting us off right tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll always be here to call out Steve's bullshit. Y'all have a good night.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I don't mind that. There's nothing wrong with that. If somebody thinks it's bullshit, yeah, by all means, man. I'd be bored if they didn't, right? So I appreciate that, Cameron. Thank you.
The line's open. Cameron,
I wonder if she read your article, by the way, Katie. at least I read your article, okay?
She loves me, though. She loves me.
I like your articles. I'm a huge fan of your writings. You know that, right?
Hello.
Yes, I do.
Who are we talking to?
Hello?
Who are we talking to?
Yes, hello.
Who are we talking to?
Oh, it's Macabre from G+, or Once Upon a Time G+. How's it going?
Hey.
Good.
Hi.
How about yourself?
Hey. Sorry. You know what? My opinions are often contentious, so as opposed to continuing on the current topic, I actually had a question about the whole using the term terrorists for anti-vaxxers. I think it's quite an apt label. And I think that the socially conscientious thing would be, as a collective, to continue to demonize anti-vaxxers as a whole. I mean, it's just that it's a bit like any conspiracy theory that poses a direct impact on our society, much like young creationists. I think the only way to really tackle it is to ridicule it into oblivion, and that would, of course, include openly scorning and demonizing these people.
I would agree. Katie, who was your inspiration for deciding to use that word terrorist?
So when I was writing the article, I was sitting in my basement at the time, and I was thinking about a provocative way to get a discussion about what the anti-vaxxers are doing and the chaos that they are creating in our society right now. They're causing a massive divide. They're creating a false narrative about, they have very strategic methods in how they manage things. People like Larry Cook and Del Bigtree, they use images of dead babies to say that these dead babies are because of vaccines. They target women to get them emotionally charged, and then they make them believe that very false ideas about vaccines. Once they get them to believe these ideas, then they get them charged up to convince, to fight, to attack anyone that doesn't agree with them. They attack mothers on Facebook who lose babies. They attack families that lose kids to the flu. They attack people in general for I can't tell you how many times I'm attacked because my son is autistic and I am blamed for his autism because I must have vaccinated him. So what I thought was,
Katie, didn't you and I though? You and I both got into a little bit of trouble with this that Sunday night because we did a stream where we titled the stream. It was a Smoking Nun where we titled the stream that. And I remember getting I got a lot of emails and stuff like this, just eviscerating me almost for the use of that word. But I too stand behind that. I think it's an appropriate word to use to describe what they're doing.
Actually, to be honest, I've had a ton of support. That article has been shared over 100,000 times. It is everywhere. People are using. Hold on a second. Wait, let me just finish.
Yeah, sure.
So what I think is most appropriate now is, why are they terrorists in the middle of a massive outbreak in New York where they cannot contain it, where department heads at the health department are begging people to cooperate? The community of anti-vaxxers is putting a proverbial FU with their fingers flying high, and they're hosting measles parties to infect more people, to bring measles further into their community. And so in the last week, we have added 90 new cases in the country of measles. We are at 555 cases of the measles in 20 state. At this rate, it is the 4th month of the year. We will easily surpass 2,000 cases this year alone, which would put us in the worst year in probably 30 years. And that's all because of anti-vaxxers. And that's a direct threat to children who cannot be vaccinated. That's a direct threat to people who have cancer. That is a direct threat to people that are immunocompromised and to the elderly. If that's not bioterrorism, if that's not terrorism, I don't know what is. They know what they're doing, and they're spreading the measles.
Yeah, well, you had
I'm
said
really
in
sorry if I'm cutting in. I'm actually losing a lot of words just because it's an international call. But I just wanted to point something out that I never quite noticed before. I totally get that it's a very apt analogy to call anti-vaxxers terrorists just by the fact that, yeah, they do act through threats of violence to affect political change. However, given that it's not the intended outcome to cause overall societal harm, I think it's somewhat analogous to the previous discussion insofar that we seem to keep on, I guess, becoming inculcated into a society of fear that exists off threats. You have to use this specific word and you can't use these unwords because I'm going to ostracize you. I honestly think that a lot of political correctness operates in a very similar sort of mechanism, despite the fact that the intended outcome is not social harm. It divides us and makes us more contentious and removes the middle grounds from most discourse.
I think
just an
there's
observation.
different ways of, yeah, well, and I think there's different ways of like looking. There's not one specific definition for terrorism. Terrorism is like political or motivation to intimidate or to inflict harm. They intimidate people into believing that vaccines are like bad. They inflict harm by attacking people that lose babies, by spreading communicable diseases. There's lots of different words to look at terrorism. And the reason why I picked terrorist is because I knew that picking a provocative word like that would get people like energized, and they would like start to think of these people as menaces to society, because they are.
But they are trying to inflict
between you and me.
How many laws are in each state trying to like lower the requirements for opting out? I mean, that's a thing. They're trying to.
Hang on, Kyle. You guys are talking over each other because you guys can't hear each other because it's an international call. So he was talking. He was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'll let you guys go. I just wanted to say, Katie, I totally agree. In my day-to-day not day-to-day, when the conversation comes up and I'm with people, like talking in person, I call anti-vaxxers baby killers, and I make no apology for it. And I put forth the argument that, yeah, this is the outcome of their ideology, and I can't distinguish between an anti-vaxxer and someone who literally harms children out of whatever mental defect they suffer from.
Right.
Yeah.
But they are inflicting a political agenda too. Like Katie pointed that out. That it's often political. Terrorists are often causing harm with a political agenda. They are. Katie, how many states are enacting laws where they're trying to lessen the requirement for people to opt out of vaccines? How many states is that going through now?
Oh my God, I don't even know. 19 maybe. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, almost 20, I think. Yeah.
See, the argument I see you making, Katie, you had mentioned back a couple of years ago that there was about 110,000, I think, people that had died from the measles in your article, right? And that is a significant number, and probably I would venture a guess.
That's not just like one. That's every year. Every year. That's how many people died.
But in your article, you mentioned a specific year, 2017 or something. So 110,000 people died, and I would probably say that most of those could have been avoided, if not all of them. Would you agree on there? Yeah. So I think your argument is that, whether the word is clearly the word is meant to be hyperbolic in some ways, but if you're arguing from a consequentialist point of view, they have a political agenda, right, resulting in deaths, right? You're just skipping the middleman, because usually a terrorist will say, I have a political agenda. I'm going to commit these actions knowing that it's going to have
resulting in death.
Well, let me finish, because I'm actually supporting your argument here. So hang on.
Okay.
So normally a terrorist would have a political agenda. They do things for their ideology that they know will result in death, right? Because they're fervent believers in something. Rather, here you have a case where they may not believe, the anti-vaxxers may or may not believe that there are deaths being associated with their actions. But in the long run, the consequentialist point of view would be they are doing things which are politically motivated, resulting in people dying. And so you're just kind of skipping the middle ground, man, there. So this is why I'm not fully on board with the argument, because it is a little bit hyperbolic, and I think that you're doing that for reasons which I actually agree with. But it's not a bad argument, because they are killing people, whether it's intentional or not. They are letting people die. That's just a fact. So it draws attention to it, and I think that's fine. So I'm not criticizing what you wrote. I'm not. I do get it.
It has people talking, and it has people like finally looking at these people and thinking, you guys are a menace to our society. Whether or not you agree with them being terrorists or not, it doesn't matter to me. What I want you to think coming out of that is that these people are strategic, they're politically motivated, and they're doing this with a simple goal in mind.
Right.
Make people fear vaccines.
Correct. Make people fear the government. Make people fear the big pharma. And doing so, you will trust people like Larry Cook, who sells supplements, or Dell, who sells this, or Jilly, who sells Jilly Juice, because they can cure you.
And also it's uncomfortable to think about. It's something that you're only used to associating with a certain thing, but this, to me, in any way, it fits all the molds. Caller, thank you for calling in. We'll very good call. We'll open up the line again and open it up to you guys. Maybe we have time for one more really good one.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
All right.
Yeah,
the next caller's got to be about Kyle's hair. Something about Kyle's hair, please.
We can do that. I'm ready to go.
Caller, you're on.
Hello?
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 I'm not sure if I've gotten through or not.
Hello?
We have. Who are we speaking with?
You there?
Are you there?
Hello? I don't hear her anymore.
Yep. I think they're gone.
Well, she was there,
well,
and then no more.
The number is 1-818-921-3838. Well, we have time for one more.
Yeah.
Oh, hello?
Hello?
500 people live. Anybody can call in.
There we are.
Oh.
It just takes a really long time to connect.
Who are we speaking with?
This is Rain.
Hi,
Rain.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Rain.
So I totally agree with Katie. I think this is an act of terrorism. I would even go a step further and say it's like a cult terrorist kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cultish. Yeah, no, that's not even argumentative. I mean, these people are a cult-like mentality. There's no question about that. Yeah.
It's insane. And what I don't understand is I work in animal medicine, and I see people come in year after year and vaccinate their pets for things their dog is never going to see as an adult. And people don't think anything of it. They're just like, oh, this is what the veterinarian says. This is what I'm going to do. But you mention vaccines to parents, and their brain explodes. And it's like, I don't understand. No dog in the history of dogs has ever gotten an autism from a vaccine. But they all lose their minds.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me absolutely bananas. I don't even know. I don't understand how so many people can be so pig-headed and will follow anything they want because, they saw on Facebook that somebody said vaccines are dangerous and are going to kill your children. But parvovirus that your 14-year-old dog is never going to see. You better vaccinate for parvo because your vet said so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. I mean, people, and by the way, people know we're all like huge animal lovers, especially dogs, and people will actually probably vaccinate their dogs more than their kids sometimes. It's like, what? I don't get that.
It makes no
anyway,
sense.
Rain, you gotta have something. You gotta have something controversial for us, though.
What's that?
Oh, you gotta have something controversial.
My dog has autism. Sorry,
I can hear Katie talking, but I kind of cut out.
Oh, I was trying to.
You can't see though.
I panned my camera onto my dog, and I said she has autism.
Oh, my service dog is having a nap on the floor.
Yes, my hound is sleeping right over on the floor too.
Did you have anything you wanted to vent, Rain, or did you?
No, that was it. I just, it was something that every time I see an anti-vax person, claiming, these are all the so-called studies that vaccines are so dangerous, it boils me because it's like, do you not think that, like, realistically, if the government was trying to kill everybody, A, they totally would have done it by now, and B, how would they have kept all of this quiet from everybody? It's kind of like when people say the moon landing was fake. Like, really? Do you think that many people could have kept that quiet for this long? Like, not to mention,
so.
We've been vaccinating our dogs every year for like the last 40 years. My brain explodes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's sad that in 2019 there are people that still think these ways. I mean, they're setting back society and culture, decades, hundreds, if not hundreds of years on some of these things, and it's just why they're fighting progress. Why they're fighting people that give them the information, the factual information, and why they don't believe it in lieu of whatever crazy conspiracy theory that they have. I'll never be able to wrap my head around. I can't figure that shit out any longer. I don't even try. I just think that certain people, their brains aren't wired to make sense. Their brains are not wired to be rational. And they're going to buy into this bullshit a lot more than other people. Even if there's overwhelming evidence against. I mean, even in Katie's blog, she mentioned Wakefield's, that whole data study that he had that was completely fabricated. Yet, Katie, there's still people that believe it, right? There's still people that actually use his research, even though it has been debunked 6 ways to frickin' Sunday. He got arrested for it, right? He lost his driver's license. I don't know. Did he go to jail?
It's a conspiracy that it was debunked.
Oh
yeah.
Because obviously
that's
what happened, right? It's not that he's wrong. It's just that there's, they're trying to make sure that they sell their vaccines.
What kind of dog? I have to know what kind of dog you have. I have to know what kind of dog do you have, Rain?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, I have Trinket is a golden retriever Labrador cross.
Oh,
okay. That sounds amazing.
Well, here's what we're gonna do now. Rain, thank you very much for calling in. And Katie, we're about to switch over to something that is just happening here. So, and you've been going all day long, and I know that you're tired. So we're gonna let you go ahead and take off too, Katie. We have some flat earthers that are gonna, and conspiracy things that are gonna come in. So I'm not gonna subject you to have to hear that. But thank you so much for filling us in on everything.
Thank you, guys. Love you.
Thank you, Katie.
Good
stuff. Go read her blog. It's great. It really is.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet on NonSequitur, please come over to my channel and give me some love and show me some support for this crazy lunatic without a crystal ball. Okay?
Absolutely. Make sure you do that. She's on there every day. She provides great content with a bunch of amazing stories. So make sure you go and you support her. Katie, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
Give me 1 second, Kyle. I'm gotta link all these people in, so I was setting up the scene first.
Sure. Apparently,
we're doing a scene.
Rez and Fight the Flat Earth have a proposition that they're going to lay out for Russian vids. So I can't wait to hear.
What
this is.
Do you know if Russian vids is going to take Nick Suter and the Human Codex up on his $10,000 offer?
No.
No. Okay.
No. He's not that.
Of course, you know
he's crazy, but he's not that crazy.
He's not. Yeah. Well, he's not. Well, he's only going to lose if out on what the expenses are, right? He doesn't have to pay up like 10,000 of his own money. But when I hear the word "scene" now, after talking to Brittany, it brings a whole different thing to my mind, because when she uses the word "scene," it's completely different than this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning a lot of the jargon. Yeah.
Holy
she was
crap,
actually really impressed that I actually went on my way to learn some BDSM language.
Hello,
yeah, she was actually really, really impressed. What?
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Reds. I think it's funny that everybody knows whenever they're trying to seek out Russian vids that he'll always be in this chat.
Right? Right? It's like a second freaking home.
He's here more than me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Yeah, Russian vids has a thing for us. What can you do?
Yeah,
in all fairness,
Dave, sure.
I mean, I have a thing for you too, but in a different way.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different. Yeah, let's not go there. Right?
Yeah, yours is
I told you the forbidden love is forbidden for a reason. That's why we don't talk about it.
You're my favorite Gandalf lookalike,
so,
Steve.
who gets Russian vids link?
You can send it to me, and I'll send it to him.
Okay.
I like how Russian vids is on the bottom.
I'll send it to
no comment.
Hey, by the way, yeah, I fight the flat Earth. I wasn't ignoring you, by the way. I got pretty distracted. But what up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Today too.
Good. You're extra salty,
I
are you, Steve?
over the weekend. Oh,
Thank you.
I didn't watch all of it. You guys had like freaking 4 hours of Flat Earth over the weekend. It was ridiculously long. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I did watch some of it. But my God, I couldn't believe some of the crap that was going on there. I mean, first, when like Flat Earth Jesus, I mean, these guys are questioning your and Goddess Engineers like education, right? And I'm just thinking, okay, that's the wrong approach to take when they have literally none. And I thought it was bizarre that they were going after like, well, you know, you have because you have your background in the nuclear stuff. G has master's degree in computer science. You can't be an idiot and go into these fields. It just doesn't work that way. And yet when you ask them, well, what is your background? Oh, you know, nothing. And yet you think that you somehow magically know more than people that have actually gone to school like I did and you did on nuclear field, that they are going to be able to falsify the theory of relativity. And that's why I don't even know. I don't believe that they're serious. Maybe Father Jesus is, because I literally think he is.
Well, what did you think of that, James?
The rest of them.
It's called a double standard.
Yeah, the JM Truth was astounding to me, saying that, you know, he's got this science master's
JM
degree.
was the one doing it. Yeah, exactly. JM was.
Yeah.
That's the guy. I couldn't think of his name. It wasn't Father Jesus, was the other guy.
So his master's in science degree is a 12-month online degree that's basically in making instruction manuals. And so now he says that he's got a master's degree in science.
That dude didn't pass second grade.
He also said that he's a biochemist and didn't know what ATP is.
Yeah, I heard. I was listening to that. I was listening during that time, and I was like, "Holy shit! This guy supposedly has a degree in biochemistry. He doesn't know what ATP is." I have videos on my own channel about ATP because it's one of Kyle's favorite subjects. He loves ATP mayonnaise. I'm like dying. I'm like, this guy is so full of crap. It's unbelievable.
Kill me now. Russian vids, are you here?
Oh, I love that. That was best. That was the best part I've ever on bar none of the weekend, because I was listening to one part and I was like, holy crap. He's not in.
He's not here yet. To not talk about ATP at all ever again.
Yeah, you hate it. Kyle loves it. I love it. Actually, Kyle hates it. But
I hate it. Well, what is this? Kyle loves it. I every time I
mean that hyperbolically.
Kyle loves that as much as he loves answering his fucking phone.
Mitochondrial.
Well, let's not forget that. JM
last
Truth
night
also thought that Masson.
I was frustrated and aggravated. I had some other shit going on, and so I turned off my phone at like 9:30 and was just like, "Fuck it, I'm going to bed and I'm not talking to anybody." So it wasn't anything against you, Reds, personally. I promise.
No,
I talked to David. David,
okay. I just blamed it on your shitty iPhone.
Reds, I was actually watching your entire uncut footage from launch to the two things coming down.
Oh, how gorgeous!
Single
is it?
shot, not a. How you keep that in frame? I have no fucking idea. Magic, whatever. But that was one of the best shots. I think. I don't think anybody could have done that any better. Matter of fact, how they don't use your footage for professional things and for news footage, I have no idea. What else could they possibly want? You captured it from start to finish from both of them landing. Now, granted, you can't do both in the same shot, but you launched down one, you saw it land, you moved over the other one. First of all, I don't know how they do that, even physics-wise. It just boggles my mind. Even understanding some of the physics. The amount of precision involved in that is just obscene that they were able to do that. I would have never thought that possible decades ago. So.
Well, the good news
is
a really good video. As of right now, we have officially hit 460,000 views in 2 days. I am really fucking happy about that. Or sorry, 3 days. And it's like, holy fucking shit. So 18,000 thumbs up. 18,000 thumbs up. That is more likes. From me, I believe I was about how far away from each other? Oh, they land right next to each other.
Yeah, when they both come down, they both land within
an eighth of a mile.
That's it?
They
look like
maybe
they're miles apart.
Yeah.
And
well, they're
kind of why we're here.
How do they do that?
Yeah,
I don't even know how that's bizarre that they can
landing
do that
zone. Landing zone 1 and 2 are not that far apart. Yeah, they land right next to each other.
That was gorgeous.
Where are you?
I was really impressed.
I sent the link over Twitter.
Oh, he's asking me for the link. I'll tell him.
I get it. They use stereodropity. That's how they do it. I understand.
To you.
I could explain the entire mechanics of how Falcon Heavy does it, and it's pretty interesting. But yeah, the video as of right now has 460,000 views, 18,000 thumbs up. So obviously this video was a complete fucking success, and I'm really happy with it.
And Steve, do you want to know what Russian Vid's response was when he watched the video? He was messaging you very much so. I said to him, watch it and let me know what you think. And he replied, "I saw it. Great CGI work."
Yeah, fuck. I don't think he understands what CGI is. I really don't.
Gotta love him.
You can actually test things that are CGI. Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, Reds. There are other people out there doing photography as well. Did they all do CGI? Same thing.
Well,
exactly?
It's even worse because on this particular launch, there was somebody, I believe, in a Cessna that was filming it from the fucking air. So
Nice.
so like we have people, we have thousands of people on the ground, even people up in the fucking sky filming this shit, and this guy still isn't satisfied. I'm able to capture uncut footage from launch to landing, and he's still not happy.
If that was CGI, I gotta tell you, you're probably one of the best CGI graphics artists in the history of CGI. And how you do it in real-time rendering? Oh my, I mean, I didn't know P1000 could do real-time rendering on CGI. That's a new feature.
Yeah, and in 4K resolution.
4K resolution too. That's a hell of a lot of processing.
According to Russian Vids, Astronomy Live is using the same CGI.
Russian Vids.
Where are you, Russian?
Where are you?
Yeah, I don't think he knows how long it would take to render something like that. Even at like a 1080, how long it would take to render that kind of footage. I've done CGI stuff. It takes a very, very long time to render things. Sometimes overnight. Kyle does rendering.
Have you guys
nothing to? Yeah.
Have you guys heard the? Speaking of rendering, have you guys heard the Dell Shed Knob song?
Yeah, I was introduced to it over the weekend. I like it quite a lot.
Oh, I don't think I have. What am I in store for?
If you'll play the song that's now available on iTunes, Spotify, and all of your other music platforms, this was inspired by Dell Beyond the Imaginary Curve. Red's Rhetoric and Jeranism track will be coming out next week. It's almost finished. But here's a preview of Dell and the title track Shed Knobs. It's so great. While we wait on Russian vids.
The globe is absolute bollocks. And you're just a stupid fucking bunch of knobs. The globe is absolute bollocks. And you're just a stupid fucking bunch of knobs. The globe is absolute bollocks. And you're just a stupid fucking bunch of knobs. The globe is absolute bollocks. And you're just a stupid fucking bunch of knobs.
You know what he's saying right there, too, by the way? Hey, in the oceans. All right, Dave, you can cut it off now.
The only time I ever want to listen to Dell.
Yeah.
Well, here's a preview of Red's. I'll give you guys an exclusive preview of Red's part with him and Jeranism.
Oh God.
The Jeranism part too is him saying, "I don't have a model," and him and Red's going back and forth with a sort of this 1990s game vibe. It's pretty awesome. So hearing Jeranism,
by the way, I think it was Heat Shield.
I think Russian Vince is here.
Am I going to get
video in? Hang on, real quick. They put the video in for the 2019 SpaceX Falcon Heavy by air from a Cessna 172. This video is fucking good too. Holy shit!
I know that was great.
I love flight things, by the way. I really do. I like flight sims and all that whole 9 yards. And this is definitely not a flight simulator or CGI. But damn, that is beautiful footage, man. Gorgeous.
Yeah, but
Russian vid.
All right, Kyle, I better get royalties for that track anyway.
Oh, you know it. We'll split them.
Kyle, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, so I want to make sure you guys are not responding. I said, hey, what's going on a couple of times. I guess, better late than never. Got this thing working here. Sorry about the delay, guys.
Let's go. All right, Red said, Fight the Flat Earth. You guys have a proposal or something you'd like to?
Yeah, well, Russian Vid, you did say that if you would see the SpaceX boosters landing backward yourself, can you tell everyone what you'll do?
Yeah, I already told you, and also Reds, if this is a legit landing and I see it with my own eyes, I'm going to shut down my channel. I think it's garbage. I think it's fake. I think it's smoke and mirrors. Listen, guys, I want to make it clear. I'm not disputing the takeoff. That's not what I'm disputing. I'm disputing the landings. That's what I'm disputing. That's it.
So if we can get you to see the landings, you'll shut down your channel.
Wait, hang on. I have somebody that might be willing. I have somebody who might be coming out to the States who might be willing to front the bill for this, to have you actually go on location to witness this, possibly, because they've offered before. I don't know if they're willing to offer something like that, if they're going to come to the States, but that might be something that is feasible.
Let me
Red,
sure
that'd be awesome.
Well, here's something here I want to ask before we get to the steak and potatoes of this little deal. I captured actually the entire launch, and it was from launch to landing. So if you're not disputing the landings, that's great. But then how do you explain that we have video from launch to landing? Are you saying the entire thing?
Yeah, that's the thing.
He's disputing the landing.
That's the thing.
He's not disputing the launch, right?
Yeah, no, that's one thing I want to make clear about all space programs, from NASA to SpaceX to Blue Origin. I'm not disputing the takeoffs. That's one thing I never disputed. I'm just disputing the SpaceX landing. That's it. And that's what it comes down to is I think it's smoke and mirrors. There should be many different angles, footage from many different sources. What I've seen in the mainstream media is nothing but a repeat of what SpaceX has provided to the media. It's not from CNN. It's not from them. It's not their source. They're just replying what SpaceX is presenting. And you have Reds and Astronomy not live, Astronomy presenting this. There should be a tremendous amount of people I listen. I literally
I sent you like 4 links of different videos. One of them was literally of a guy in the air watching it.
I seen that.
And I seen astronomy. Hang on, Reds. I mean, Russian. I love how you just throw that out there. I mean, I happen to like Astronomy Live. He's a very well respected, very well educated individual. And there has been no dishonesty from him, and yet you just seem to want to like besmirch his credibility when there's been nothing he's ever done that even remotely would come across as something to be disingenuous or dishonest. And you may not agree with them, but don't you think it's a little bit much to try to smear his name by using pejorative of like Astronomy Lies when you know he is? I mean, you may not agree with him, but he is, from his perspective, literally telling the truth. He is not lying to anybody. And yes, I agree with 100% on his findings, but you can't call him a liar because you know he's not lying. Come on, that's a little bit much, don't you think?
Here's the thing, Steve.
Maybe.
This is my perspective. This is my thing here. Is basically you have Reds and you have Astronomy Live. They're side by side. I'd like to have them maybe a few hundred yards apart, taking different vantage points of the supposed landing, not the takeoff. Again, it's the landing is key. And we always get the same exact view from the same exact spot.
Well, yeah, because we kind of back each other. We kind of back each other up on this thing. That's kind of the point. If something goes wrong with his scope halfway through, we would use my footage as a bit of filler. If something goes wrong with my tracking, then I would use parts of his launch to kind of complement each other. So we back each other up on this. That's how we are able to guarantee that we have a continuous coverage of the rocket, because you assholes ask for continuous coverage, which is exactly what we provided. Except now this time, neither of us had any problems with our tracking. So now you don't just have one source, now you have 2 sources. And then if you look at the videos that Fight the Flat Earth was sending you, now you have 4. You have 4 different sources, none of them from the mainstream media, which, by the way, you said you don't trust anyway, so what the fuck, showing that this thing does indeed take off and does indeed land. This is uncut footage from launch to landing. So what's the fucking problem, bro?
Again, Reds, I just said it. You guys are side by side like Humpty and Dumpty or something. Why do you guys got to be so close? How about you spread out, get different angles? Why doesn't SpaceX themselves, have like several cameras littered around the landing site and get all these different amazing angles? We don't get them.
Over the goalpost, though. I mean, you asked for an uncut footage. He gave it to you. You have any idea what it would take for this kind of collusion from this many people? But by the way, who don't even know each other, because I just watched a video from the Cessna launch.
No collusion.
No collusion. I mean, no matter what anybody does, Russian, you're not going to be convinced of it because you don't want to be convinced of it. I think there's just
no, that's not true.
Blockage that you have. Well, then you might want to give them benefit of the doubt, because I think in order for you to actually demonstrate there has been deception here, you need to show that this is actually CGI. Can you do that? Because I can tell you right now.
Okay, let me mention this.
Well, let's stop the arguments about whether it's CGI or not and talk about getting you to a launch. Reds, when is the next launch?
Well, that's what I was going to talk about, because here's the thing. You are right, Steve. Absolutely nothing is going to change this guy's mind unless we actually get him there. He doesn't know. He wouldn't know CGI if it came around and bit him square in the ass. I mean, I'm using the flat earther camera of choice. No, you didn't. You got 60%. You got D at best. Get the fuck over yourself, bro. So when it comes to actually getting him to accept that he is wrong, he's going to have to trust his own eyes. Well, maybe then he'll argue with his eyes that his eyes are making CGI in real time, or that he's hallucinating or some shit like that. We'll wait to see what the next excuse is. But anyway, Russian vids, here's the deal.
You slipped some
even though this my video, Astronomy Live's video, and a bunch of other videos royally debunked your sorry ass, in 10 days, on the 26th, there is the CRS-17 launch of a Falcon 9 rocket. That is a launch and landing of their first stage booster. So right there, you have 10 days to get your ass to Florida. Can you do it?
That's the thing is, Rez, I'm going to be honest with you. I was just in contact with someone before I went on here, and this individual, who's a very reliable source, is going to be there and videotape the whole supposed event from takeoff to land. I'm not concerned about the takeoff. I'm concerned about the landing, and that's one thing I emphasize to this person that lives in Florida, that's going to be there on the 26th. And after that, I'll be honest with you, if this individual, who's a very well trusted person to me, if this person takes footage of this thing landing, then I'm going to be scratching my head. I'm not going to deny it. I'm here. I'll just say it right now. I'm here for the truth.
That's,
and
if
it's undisputable, hold on, Reds. Hold on, guys. Let me just say this quickly. I'm gonna be very brief here. This is the problem.
Let me
I said it
interrupt.
initially.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Reds.
Yeah.
Dave sent you a link for Astronomy Live. Astronomy Live wanted to come in, so if you'll get that link to Astronomy Live.
Absolutely.
The important thing, Russian Vids, is
no.
You continue.
That is a cop out right there, because here's the thing: if this guy actually goes out there, this guy that you're going to say is a trusted source and whatever, you're going to say that he was kidnapped and brainwashed by the Illuminati. No, this is bullshit. You'll need to actually go out there and see it for yourself. You have 10 days to do it. Will you actually do it? We have people in the live chat right now saying that they will pay this shit for you. You literally have no fucking excuse at this point.
There you go, RB.
I want to add this. Russian Vids, this is very, very clear. You need to hear this. Everybody in this hangout right here, including people that are coming in, like Astronomy Live, we have a very decent reputation, right? People are not going around saying, hey, you know what, these people are deceiving people or lying, whatever. You have people on the flat earth side that say that, but no reputable person has ever made any kind of accusation. We have very reputable scientists that come on here. Now, no offense, you haven't really been somebody of the highest reputation and caliber, okay? So when we have about things like astronomy, let me finish. When Astronomy Live, you start saying like he lies, and that you're asking us to now trust you, like you saying you have faith in this other person, that if he videotapes it, you're going to believe them. I don't know why you think that we should have enough faith in you or this person that are filming that, because you've never demonstrated any kind of intellectual honesty on any of this. You keep moving the goalposts. Can you see our perspective on this? You asked for something, it's given. You asked for something, it's given. Reds had a beautiful footage of uncut footage. It was gorgeous. I don't know. There's no way you can look at that and not realize this is legit.
YouTube's greatest live chat is offering to pay for your trip there, RV.
How far
I appreciate that. Listen, guys,
no?
I appreciate that. Everybody in the chat that's offering. I want to respond to this real quickly, though. This is the foundation of the problem here. Initially, when it comes down to it, there was no Fox News, CNN, History Channel, any Discovery Channel, none of these sources. Hold on, let me finish my thought here. Guys, I'm going to be brief and just let me. There's 5 or 6 of you guys, only one of me. Let me just respond here very briefly. Then I'll let you guys speak. This was the source of the problem, where you had initially just Astronomy Live. He filmed that one landing was a couple years ago. And I'm like, out of all the people cheering like a bunch of girls at a Backstreet Boy concert, they're too busy clapping and cheering to film anything. He was the only one there filming it. There should be multiple sources. This is the stem of the problem. If there was a bunch of people filming this, many different angles, I'll say, look, this looks ridiculous, but it must be real. But it's very minimal. It's like someone recording a UFO or the Loch Ness Monster. There's got to be multiple sources for it to be considered legit. That's how I see it. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, right.
Did you know that everything that you just said is completely irrelevant? All right, so let's go ahead and get back on track, because this isn't shit about CNN. This isn't about Fox News. This is about you getting your ass to Florida, and you got 10 days to do it. You got people in the live chat willing to pay for it. I'm willing to chaperone and show you the spot so that you can see this for yourself, so you can feel those sonic booms. Now tell me right here, right now, that you will actually be able to make it to Florida again in 10 days. Otherwise, what are we just going to say? You're just going to say that, well, this one guy who I thought was a reliable source recorded something that quite clearly debunked my bullshit, and now I'm obligated to delete my channel. Now what I'll do is just say that he's now an Illuminati lizard person, and that his footage is CGI as well, and now I can't trust him. He's no longer my friend. No, we're fucking all of that shit. Get your ass to Florida. Will you be able to do it? Yes or no?
How far is he from Florida? How far is he from Florida?
I'm all the way in California. I'm here in San Francisco. I'm a long ways away, guys.
Good. That's a 4-hour flight. That's a 4-hour flight. That's a 4-hour flight. You know what? We'll buy. You like Southwest? You like Southwest cookies? We'll get you Southwest cookies.
It sounds good, Red. But I want to say this. This is the plan. What I want to do. This is the plan, guys. This is what my proposition here. I'm waiting for the 26th with my reliable source, who I've known for a very long time. I want to see what they film, what they get, and what end up happening is. Hold on.
Just go to Florida. Why?
Why didn't you just come?
That's what I'm getting at. If depending on the footage, if it doesn't satisfy what I want to see, I'm gonna get over there. I need to do this, and I'll be there for the next.
Why add the extra step? Why don't you just come for the 26th?
Because I'll be honest with you. Let me respond to that. Because if the 26th that landing satisfies my needs, there's no need for me to go out there. I'll shut down my channel. But
I don't believe
if it's a questionable.
Oh, you just talked out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, I tell you what. Look at this, Reds. Hang on, Reds. He's not going to listen. He's not going to go to Florida, and 5 hours is quite a distance. So let's try to be a little reasonable. I don't think he is going to do it in 10 days' notice. However, we have video footage now. David, hang on. David's recording this. This is live. No offense, Reds. I mean, Russian. Your reputation is not that great. It will be nothing
according to you
if what you say doesn't transpire, right? I mean, if you have this friend who's going to go film this. Everybody's listening. We have 600, 700 people watching right now, and thousands of people will eventually view this. They will be wondering what your excuse will be. So if he does this, he films this, and you do come up with an excuse, we can call you out on it. You do realize that, right? And rightfully so.
No, I'll be down there. That's what I'm saying, Steve. You're not listening to me. I said if this launch that I see, depending on the footage, the quality, if to me it looks legit, and this person says, "Look, I saw it with my own eyes." I have a lot of trust in this individual. If this person says, "Look, we were wrong about this. I believe this is a real landing." Guess what? I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna apologize to Reds and Astronomy Live and everybody here, because I'm here for the truth. I'm not here to, I'm very fluid with this.
Kyle,
listen, guys.
Just to be clear. Just to be clear, Flat Earthers also had a lot of trust in the P1000. Now they're calling footage from it CGI.
Yeah, that's true.
I know. Look,
I haven't.
Let's get it on the table, Russian Vids. You're not going to be happy with the footage that you get, if you even get the footage. Something could go wrong. He may get sick that day. Something may happen with him getting there. The only reliable way that you're going to know for sure how you feel about this launch is if you're there, and if you have a trip that is paid for by the YouTube's greatest live chat, why not just go, have a day of it, enjoy yourself, see some shit, and then go back? And you're not hurting for anything. It's not going to cost you anything, and you will either see something to your satisfaction or you won't. And it's neat and tidy, and you're in control of all of it. Why not do that?
Exactly. Basically, you can skip the extra step. You can skip the step which we all know is going to happen. You're not going to be satisfied with whatever footage you get because, all footage is basically CGI to you. So go there and see it yourself. People are going to pay for you. And also, Sean Hubbard just said...
I appreciate that.
Actually, Sean Hubbard just said, at Rhetoric, LAX, the TPA round trip is $200. Fight the Flatter said he'll pay for half of that. I'll pay for the other half. We have people that already paid for the Reddit card. Dude, you're hooked. Let's go.
Hey, you're pretty real gold.
Sounds good, guys.
For that kind of shit, I would go, but... Yeah, I mean,
what do you say, RV?
What else do you possibly want, Russian? I mean, this is your golden opportunity. Make or break, man.
What do you say, RV?
Yeah, like I said, I want to see what happens on the 26th, and after that, we'll definitely schedule it.
Why don't you go and actually see it yourself? Don't worry about this extra step. We will all pay for you to get to the launch on the 26th and see it with your own eyes.
Basically, what we are doing here is we are paying to actually see a flat earther be intellectually honest for once, because it's such a rare sight. All right, so that's why we're all forking over money to see this shit, because we want to see if you'll actually be intellectually honest for once in your fucking life. So you said you wanted to see this Falcon Heavy launch with your own eyes. You said you want to see it with your own eyes.
Well, I didn't say launch. Hold on, Red.
Listen,
you're not hearing me. I didn't say launch. I said landing.
We know what you mean. If they have a launch, they're going to have a landing.
Together. They're
part of the same thing, dude.
It's
all
landing is part of it. Come on,
you guys. I got to make something clear on my stance. Go ahead, Steve.
Here's why he won't go. Here's why he won't go.
Hang on.
Last ditch effort, like, or his last option.
Yeah.
If as long as this guy's there to film, what Russian Viz wants him to, it gives him a way to say, "Oh, I don't believe that," or he didn't get the right footage, something like that. It's just a time extender, Russian Viz. Let's be straight up here, right?
But this is Russian Viz hedging his bets. I mean, we use the term launch. We understand, all of us, because we understand that with the launch comes the landing, and you seem to make an issue about it because it seems like anything you try to do to get out of things, it's just this is what we pick up on. Clearly, the launch is going to have the landing as well. Okay, so we're talking about the landing as part of the launch, the coextensive one without the other. That's the whole point of SpaceX. They're reusing these things, right? That's the whole point. To have them ready within, I think, 24 hours is the goal, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing, is Steve. I have to make something perfectly clear. Before there was SpaceX doing their supposed landings, I was saying how basically these so-called rockets from NASA, they just dunk into the ocean. I just call them expensive fireworks for the longest time. That's what I'm getting at. They don't actually go into space. That's very key. What I'm getting at. So the launch to me is irrelevant as far as the landing. So that's how I see it. And so when you guys say launch, I want to make it clear.
But here's the thing, Richard. Now you're going to say, if you even went to this, you'd be like, oh yeah, I saw something come up, I saw something come down, it landed, but it never reached orbit. That's a different argument to begin with, by the way.
No, I don't care about that.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't care.
Listen,
what would happen if you saw it go up and you saw the booster come down and land?
Red.
That's the point.
The only thing that's clear here is that we're not talking about whether or not these first stage boosters actually make it to orbit. Okay, first of all, that's irrelevant, because whether you believe that they make it to space or not, you're not going to have a fucking channel to spew that nonsense in the first place, which is the whole point of this. So again, will you go to Florida with everything literally paid for you? And I'll add something extra on top of it. If you go to Florida and you see this launch, after you cry your tears away, I will buy you a lap dance to cheer you up again. How's that?
Oh, Russian Viz.
Wait,
Russian
wait,
Viz.
I tell you what,
How dare you say no?
You do. How about this? Reg will give you the lap dance.
Hey,
oh my
by
goodness.
the way,
don't put him off.
Hello, Astronomy
Now
Live.
we'll
We
go
haven't
for
said
sure.
hey to you.
Hey, I
don't blame you. Fair enough.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You must have seen Reg too. I wouldn't get a lap dance from him either.
Is there anything that you want to say?
I've seen Reg.
Well, okay.
Against me.
Astronomy Live.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, and I'm sure it's probably been said already, it's just that all of this is predicated on an if I ran the zoo fallacy. It's if I ran the zoo, I'd have the media out there shooting independent footage that looks like Astronomy Lives and Red's Rhetoric, even though SpaceX is already filming it themselves, and there's not a whole lot of incentive for the media to invest the money that would be needed for professional tracking setups the way that NASA has them, when they can already get that footage for free. The thing Russian Viz doesn't seem to understand is that the general public isn't thinking like him. The general public doesn't believe that these landings are fake. They're not clamoring for the media to provide them independent proof that the landings are happening, because 99% of the people out there accept it's real. So there's no real incentive there. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what your opinion of those people are, Russian Vids. What the point is that the vast majority of people aren't clamoring for that additional footage in the way that you're asking for. And so there is absolutely zero monetary incentive. Let me finish. There's zero monetary incentive there for the media companies to provide what you're asking for. There's zero monetary incentive, and they're not to placate to your personal beliefs because you're such a minority. Okay, Russian Vids, you have to understand that what Red is doing is very, very generous. He is going out of his way to upgrade his capabilities to meet continually moving goalposts. And now he finally has the money shot, the launch to landing footage. I know you say you don't care about the launch, but the point was, and many of us were getting these comments, where's the proof that the thing that landed is the same thing as the thing that launched? Okay, that's why we were all striving for this launch to landing one continuous uncut shot, is to show a chain of evidence that the thing that left the launch pad is the same thing that touched down on the landing pad. Now, you are coming along and saying, well, I think it's CGI. Where's all the other videos from the media? And I'm explaining to you why the media isn't catering to those beliefs. The media isn't the whims of a single person who may have a fascination with debunking flat earthers online, like Red. And I'm not saying that to insult Red, of course. I'm just saying the media doesn't necessarily follow those priorities. They have their own set of priorities, which are primarily financial in nature. It's why clickbait is such a big thing with the media. It's why there's such a push for, how to put this, there's such a push for things like Article 13 in Europe. There's such a social media outlets that would compete for those same dollars, right? It's because there's this ongoing competition to grab the most eyeballs. The most eyeballs will not be grabbed by continually catering to flat earth beliefs, except to say and point out and laugh at them and say, aren't those guys funny? They're goofy, aren't they? Everyone thinks they're kooks. It would start to get a little bit awkward, and pretty much people would tune out if they kept posting videos showing what you're asking for, independent footage of Falcon landings. Let me tell you this. Sorry, Windows is deciding. No, I don't want updates right now. Thank you. Let me tell you this. The launch to landing footage of the first Falcon Heavy launch, I personally thought that was huge. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really gonna go over well, and maybe I could even like sell this to media outlets, since you're right, they aren't collecting this footage themselves. Maybe I could interest them in this. Not a one. I couldn't get anyone interested in that footage from the mainstream media. And it wasn't because there was some dirty hidden secret in my footage that they didn't want exposed to the world. The reason I got this as a response from one media company, they said, no thank you, we're looking for short clips. They don't want a 9-minute long clip, because most people's attention spans isn't that long. Even people, and I can look at the analytics right now, and I can tell you it drops off, especially when we get to the boost back phase and it's just a small, tiny little pair of boosters flying back. Personally, I think that's the best part of it right there, that really challenging part where you can see little puffs of gas coming out of the boosters, and no one else can see that by eye. It can only be seen with optical aid through a telescope or a camera. But at that point, the viewership starts dropping off. And that's exactly why the media expresses zero interest in that footage when I tried to offer it to them. I was practically handing it to them. I would have given it to them for $1. I didn't care. I just wanted that footage out there. But they didn't even want it, because they don't want their viewership numbers dropping off like that. They know if they put this video up and they just roll this 10-minute long clip or 8-minute long clip, whatever it was, of launch to landing, people are going to start tuning out after the first 30 seconds. So they wanted really short, snappy clips of, yeah, sonic booms, rockets come down, land, done. And those are the clips you saw. You saw a bunch of people with cell phone footage. You saw a bunch of people out at the Saturn V Center at the Field of Heat event shooting short clips with what they could get with their home cameras, not the really high quality stuff like what Red and I were filming. And that's what the media focused on, because it was easily digestible and it was very short. So I'm telling you right now, even if you handed them that footage, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't roll it, because to them, it's boring.
Well, let me just say this, when it comes down to it, this is supposedly a monumental feat. And again, there should be people, for example, out in the ocean.
We get a response when it's done.
Heatedly. And, all these cheerleaders, you hear people screaming, but none of them have cell phones. Everybody in society has a cell phone. Why is thousands of different angles and footage? That's the big question to me. It's always YouTube. Out of all the millions of YouTube, that's a serious problem for me. That's what I'm getting. Staying away from, the 10-foot pole.
Yep. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ritz.
The reason why it's us two is because we have invested a criminal amount of time into giving you guys what you guys have been asking for. And now that we're actually meeting the obligation that you guys just bestowed upon us, you are now obligated to get us this type of footage that SpaceX is doing what they claim that they are doing. You are obligated to get it in one continuous shot to show that the thing that launched is the same thing that landed. You are obligated in all this. So once we meet our obligation, now you're treating the fact that we have the capability of meeting that obligation that you guys just bestowed upon us as part of the fucking conspiracy. So if you do not accomplish the goal, you're screwed. If you do accomplish the goal, you're equally as screwed. So basically, there is no winning with the conspiracy theorists. And what Astronomy said, what Astronomy Live just said was correct, 100% correct. If you go out and you ask the mainstream media to invest in this type of equipment to satisfy little old you, they're going to look at us like, why would we waste a colossal amount of money to satisfy some reject on the internet? We can reinvest our money in other ventures where we're actually going to make even more money.
There's no incentive.
Okay,
right.
so
there's just no incentive.
Yeah,
for
there's just no incentive. So what Astronomy Live did, he said, okay, the mainstream media isn't going to satisfy these guys. So here's the thing: I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to develop software that will give them the type of shot that they want. And then you had me come along and say, well, not only will I also get the shot, I will get the shot with the flat Earth camera of choice. And then I'm going to increase the quality to max at 4K resolution. So now they really can't bitch. And now what do we have? We have you still bitching about it, even though this is from a camera that you shitheads told me to get. So in reality, there's no way. Hang on, I'm not done yet. There is no way to satisfy you with footage. There's no way to satisfy you with images. The only way you're going to be satisfied is for you to see it to yourself, which is why I think Kyle is right. What you're doing by saying that, oh, we have this trustworthy person that I'm going to put all my stock into, no, that's a cop-out. You're simply delaying the inevitable.
Yep.
You are going to have to go down to Florida in order for you to actually be without any sort of excuse. And I'm going to be there with a Nikon P1000. And after I film an amazing launch and landing sequence, I'm going to zoom all the way out. I'm going to point that badass camera at your fucking face so that you can say in front of that camera, that thing landed in front of me. I apologize to both Astronomy Live and Red's Rhetoric. They were right the entire time. I did not know what the fuck I was talking about when I called their footage CGI, and in response, I am going to close down my channel like I fucking said I would do. That is the only way that any of this shit is going to go forward.
Yeah, that's it, Reg. And I'm not, like I said, hey, I'm all about, everybody being transparent. If I see that for myself, I'm there in Florida and I see that thing land and I'm looking at the runway or the launch, I should say the landing site. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm here for truth, not to, hold on to an idea.
You going?
This is, like I said, Steve, I'm waiting for the 26th. After that, if I'm not satisfied with the footage.
Did you not fucking hear a word Red's just said?
I know.
Astronomy Live
10 days, Steve.
We don't
10
care.
days is too short of a notice.
We don't give a shit about you and a friend. It's not going to be good enough. We don't care if you wait or not. Are you going to take these people are willing to pay for this? Come on, Russian bids. Work with us here. All you got to do is say yes. I'll get on the flight and go to Florida. That's it. Come on, man. Come on.
Kyle, I appreciate that, Kyle. Steve, let me answer you, Steve. I appreciate that, Kyle. Thanks for the chant. But let me just say this. 10 days is very short notice. Okay?
I agree.
10 days is short
notice. You can do it. What do you got going on in your life, man?
After that launch, yes. I have to. I'm going to have to be down there after the not this launch, but the one after this. But I'll be honest with you. If this one satisfies me, if this one satisfies
Red's especially
when's the next launch after the 26th?
I'm going to side with Russian vids a little bit. 10 days notice is a little bit. I mean,
are you kidding?
However, what's the next one after that? By the way, because there's multiple of these.
I'll tell you that. But I'll also say I could get stung by the most badass wasp right in my nutsack if someone was paying for my flight and a rental car so I could see a rocket launch. And on top of that, buy me a lap dance, dude. I would wheel my nuts in a fucking wheelbarrow if it mean I was actually going to see that shit and have it all paid for, dude.
What are you doing, RV? You're supposed to be the guy of truth. You're supposed to be the guy that at whatever cost. You're bringing the truth to people, and here you're given a golden opportunity to go and see for yourself the truth, and you're just pissing it away. I don't. This is disappointing, RV.
No,
it's
Kyle.
Disappointing.
I know. That's not it, Kyle. I'm going to be down there, but not on the 26th. The one after that.
Which is
the one after that. I'll be down there. The one after that is a possible another Falcon Heavy. Although that one is still in to be determined status. The only one that has a solid date is July 8th, which is a Falcon 9 for CRS 18.
that's quite a time from now.
Yeah,
June, July,
basically, yeah, that's fucking July. And I'm sorry, Russian Vids, I want to see your channel get shut down in 10 fucking days from now, not a few months from now. So can you
Not gonna happen,
can you
pal.
like yeah, it is, because whether you like it or not, these things actually happen. Many people viewed it. You can say that you only saw footage from 4 sources and that's all there was, dude. I can go down YouTube and I can send you 50 fucking links. In fact, how about this? How about we do this? I can send you 50 links. If I can hit 50 links within the next 2 fucking hours, you will shut down your channel. How's that?
I never agreed to that. What are you talking about? You're making propositions. I never agreed.
You
to.
won't. Yeah, you
No,
won't.
because like I
You wanna
said,
know why?
that you did.
No. You want to know why you won't agree to that? It's because you know that there are other people out there that have filmed this with their own cameras. They haven't gotten to badass footage like myself in Astronomy Live. Oh, of course not. But at least they were there to show that something definitely did land right in front of them, and they get hit with sonic booms. So obviously we're not the only ones out there. Obviously we're not the only ones filming this shit. Obviously we're not the only ones that actually have been there to experience it. So where the fuck do you get off saying that this shit is CGI when literally thousands of people were there to see it for themselves?
Reds, do you understand? It's like, imagine you have an arena with 10,000 fans for a music concert, and the next day there's like literally upload from like 200 of them or more on YouTube of that concert from different angles. That's something I want to see with this freaking thing. This thing is, again, a monumental feat, having a rocket launch land backwards. This should be, I mean, undisputed. Instead of these people just cheering. Listen to
You're
me.
the only one disputing
How
it.
many people are there, Reds, next to you, just looking at this thing? Why don't they have their damn cameras on? It's only you, again, in the
maybe because people actually want to enjoy the experience and they're not out to try and convince fucktards like you on the internet.
Okay, Red, how about this?
Reds, I mean, Russians, a bigger monumental feat would be you actually admitting that all this time that you're just full of shit, and you in Reds actually getting you on camera would say, that you actually saying, I was wrong. I apologize to Reds and I apologize to Astronomy Live and the NonSequitur show. I was wrong. These things do actually land. The Earth isn't flat. I'm shutting down my channel and I'm moving on to greener pastures. That would be a monumental thing to me.
All right,
that would
RJ Sniff. RJ Sniff.
And then I would interview you as the next flat earther.
Vending machines. YSJ. Brian G. I'm a flat earther now. Send me to Florida. Sleet says, has anyone ever filmed RVs moved goalpost landing? Jacob Graham says, Kyle Cinnamon Toast Crunch Fun. Love you, man. I love you too, Jacob. Brian G. RV gets a trip to Florida and a lap dance. What the hell? Route 66 Drones. I will be a flat earther and go watch the landing if Reds will buy me a lap dance. Brian Shannon didn't leave
such a position.
Chat. Danny Flo says, here is $2 for the chicken's bus ticket. Vince Kakuza says, hashtag Russian coward, hashtag Russian vids bitch made. Oh man, Russian vids, you're getting all kind of beat up
garbage.
God, I'm telling you, I'm gonna go flat earth here in a minute.
What truck does an RV use for moving his goalposts? the fuck, oh man, the fuck boy assassin. Wow, what a name. Reds, are you good at pool/billiards?
No, I suck at it.
Like everything else.
Agent Crustacean. Aquaman says he got hit by RV's goalpost. Ash Scott says
I got a proposition.
Okay, let me finish this one. Then you can. Ash Scott,
okay.
Caribbean is fake. You lying Caribbean believing shills prove me and all my caps lock wrong. Rosa 43 says, stop being a moron, Russian vids. If anything, it's a free trip across the damn country. Cajun Crustacean, the anonymity of this trusted source is RV's out. Yep, I think we agreed on that. Thomas Miller, take my money, you disingenuous ass clown.
Thanks for the money, though.
I think it's time for breakfast at Waffle House. Hashtag waffle bitch. Mark Beiser says the foundation of the problem is that Russian vids doesn't actually care to learn anything or what the truth is. Antonio Aurora says Russian vids flat earther of the gaps. McToon says Flurfs move goalpost. For example, flat out hero. Stringer News says I'll pay full bus fare for Russian vids. Beggars can't be choosers. Thomas Miller says I will donate for RV's plane ticket. The Atheist 619. JM is a physicist, the same as Kent Hovind is a doctor.
Thank you.
Rainieri says, thanks for the stream, guys. Cameron Jones, love y'all. Thanks for having me on. I'll be sure to read your article, Katie. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. My Unfinished Journey. Denotative meaning same, emotional meaning different. Lloydie, Steve, you are very pedantic referring to language. Scat the Skeptic Squirrel, I checked a bunch of her videos. All of them have the comments disabled. Kuyasa, if you booty trap your house with lethal traps and an intruder gets mortally wounded by it, can you get sued for it? All right, there's only 6 more. My Unfinished Journey, Minnesotans Unite. Antonio Aurora says, get some beer spray, way better than a gun for, or sorry, get some bear spray. Way better than a gun for dealing with crazy people. Even have dog spray that would fit in your purse. Mike G, the pressure is coming from your work and our attention. My Unfinished Journey, keep pressing the hashtag cabbage. Brainy Beaver, they're called waterfalls. A Godless Engineer. Squirt, sorry, I just pooed myself because Jilly liquidates your insides. Justin Holland, will Jilly Juice cure my blindness? Justin Holland, will Jilly, she claims it will, yes. Just wanted to donate and support the show from Jacob Graham. I love you, Kyle. Don't ever change from Lloydie. Brandon Smith, world's greatest show. Uncle Ned, thanks for putting up the salty cabbage. And Kuyasa, if the clergy is so celibate, why did the term missionary position come from? That's a good question. Russian Vids, I know that you said you had a proposition. There was, let me get these last 2 that just came in. And then it's a same guy who complains people are on their phones too much, I bet, says Logan Rossi 89. And then finally, True Blue, NASA is not here to entertain you, Rush Tard. And then Christopher Diaz sent a super chat with no message. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. What proposition do you have?
I had a proposition here. It'd be nice to have maybe a live non sequitur show from location at the supposed launch and landing. Everybody there.
Funnily enough,
I need
Russian
to
vids.
get ID before I can go anywhere, but maybe one day.
Funnily enough, Russian vids. I'm the producer of the Non Sequitur show. And I happen to live in Florida and be a friend of Red's Rhetoric. So maybe if we get a rental car, we can all go the hell over there.
You know, how about this? How about a live show? I would say maybe 10 days sounds decent for me. So how about this, Russian Vids? I would like to personally invite you onto the Non Sequitur show, filmed live on location at Cape Canaveral, Florida. What say you, man?
Let's do it.
And not only that, but you will get your entire fare paid for. You will get your rental car paid for, and you will get a paid lap dance. I say it's a good.
We accept your proposition. We accept your
Yeah,
proposition, Russian Vids. Thank you for coming around. Thank you for coming around. We accept your proposition.
I think it's good. I thank you guys. You know, I thank you guys for your hospitality and your offers, and it's very generous. And how can I turn it down? You know, there's no way. I mean, if it's free, it's for me.
Well, there you go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
In 10 days.
Wait, is this for the next launch that you're looking at, Russian?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's in 10 days. No, not this one. The next one I said. The one after this.
Sake.
Oh, no, come on. This one in 10 days, Russian Vids.
10 days. I can't make it.
Yes, you can. 10 days is enough time to do anything.
I can't, guys. Listen. Let me see. Let me check. I'll listen. I'm of course I'm on Twitter with Kyle and Fight the Flat Earth. You know, if I can squeeze it in, I'll get back to you guys on Twitter. But as of right now,
I'll message you tomorrow.
Just tell whoever you work for that you're going to a funeral, and when they ask for who, just say my flat Earth beliefs.
Hey, I want to make this clear too.
Yeah, make it a religious thing.
Listen to me.
There you go.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Just because, for example, if I'm wrong and you can land, they do land this rocket backwards, it doesn't change the shape of the Earth. Let's make that clear. Okay, you can.
Well, that is true. It doesn't change. The shape is still round. That is true. It doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't change the shape of the Earth. It's still round. But here's the thing: no one will be able to hear this shit from you anymore because your channel will be deleted, and that's the fucking point. So
hang on, he'll make a new one because he's had channels deleted before. Matter of fact, he's had like 3 channels deleted, and he had a lot of subs too. I mean, like hundreds and thousands of subs that he lost. So he just make a new one. But I think it'd be this, Russian. If you're so far off on this particular issue about the landing of the Falcon 9 rockets, then everything you have to say after that about flat Earth, who gives a fuck anyways? Because you're just fundamentally wrong to begin with. But it just ruins your credibility to no end. You do get that, right? I mean, right now I mean that in very small degree, because I don't think you have any credibility. But you're so adamant about this that you wait. Let me finish. You're so adamant about this that we're talking about flying you down to Florida so you can witness with your own eyes. Do you really think anybody should trust what you have to say about the shape of the Earth if you can't even understand that the boosters actually do land and you have to admit on camera that you're wrong about that? Is it really far after that to say, look, I was wrong about the flat Earth too? I mean, come on. I mean, this is what people mean by you moving goalposts and not being intellectually honest. If you're wrong about the boosters, you should actually be intellectually honest enough to say, I'm wrong about the shape of the Earth too. Come on.
Well, I don't think
well, here's the thing, Steve. Have you ever been wrong in your life? Have you ever been wrong?
RJ says that the
I've
YouTube
been wrong,
Surgeon
but not
General
on something fundamentally like this. I've never been wrong on something like this. Yeah, I've never been wrong.
Steve, you question this yourself. Steve, you question this yourself. You thought it was unbelievable yourself.
Let me get this last super chat in. RJ says YouTube Surgeon General flirts off to JM Truth. Okay, now, since you're not going to change your mind, I don't see any point in keeping anybody up and continuing to argue about this. We've given you all the opportunity. I tell you what, the offer will stand for 24 hours. RV. If you change your mind within 24 hours and you decide that you want to go down there in 10 days, we will do a live show there. We will send Dave. It can be a big thing, and we can either see if you're right or see if you're going to be deleting your channel. Yeah, 24 hours, the offer will stand up, and hopefully you change your mind in that 24 hours. Is there anybody that has anything they'd like to say to close out with?
I want to say this.
Go ahead.
Hold on, guys. I want to this. Again, just because you could supposedly launch a rocket backwards, it doesn't mean that we live in a ball that's traveling, half a million miles an hour through space. Okay, that's apples and oranges. So I want to make that clear. But again, if I'm wrong about this, I'll say it. I'll make my last video on my channel, and I'll apologize to each and every one of you, everybody in the chat about this if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm man enough to do that. So
all right, I will
at least have some respect for that.
I'll say this. All right, I'll say this. While there is no direct relationship between the boosters landing and the shape of the Earth, it does lend evidence that your judgment is completely flawed and your ability to formulate proper reasoning from any kind of scientific thing is flawed. That is a proper argument to make. So if you cannot judge the validity of these rockets, then the validity that you think that you have about the shape of the Earth is highly, highly questionable. That we would be arguing after that you have no ability to make any kind of scientific judgments whatsoever, because you're already demonstrated that you're inept in the topic if you have not accepted by now that the rockets do not actually land, and you have to later on be shown with your own eyes that to be the case. I think it does lend evidence that you do not have the scientific knowledge, the experience, or the ability to formulate proper, coherent, rational conclusions, as the rest of us have already demonstrated numerous times in our life. Would you think that's a fair argument to be made?
Okay, Red.
Well, I'll just say this, Steve. You question yourself, Steve. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
This is your last. We're giving you your final thought here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a page out of Red's book and say what you got to say, and then get the fuck out. I.e., Dave is going to close out each person as they go. Thank you, Reds, by the way, for this.
You're welcome.
Say what you have to say. Say what you have to say, and then Russian Vids, get the fuck out for 24 hours.
Sounds good. I'll just say simply, Steve, you yourself thought it was unbelievable. I heard you. And I have a video clip of you saying, I find it unbelievable. It's hard to believe. I've known many people that love science say, it looks like the rocket's just, going in reverse. It doesn't look real. Some of the footage is definitely fake. I got to see this again, moving forward. Forget about in the past. Moving forward, if I see this happen again with my own eyes, I see this thing at land, not obscured by anything. With my own eyes, I'm shutting down my channel. I'm going to make one last video apologizing to everybody. Steve, everybody here, Kyle, Reds, Astronomy Live, Reds Rhetoric, everybody, Fight the Flat Earth, everybody. And I'm going to shut down my channel and be done. It doesn't mean I'm wrong on other things like the OJ case or Freemasonry, but I'm wrong on this, and I'll admit it. I'll admit it. There you go.
Okay, thank you, RV. All right, now let's go to Fight the Flat Earth. I know since it's late over there, we'll start with we'll go to you next.
All right, I want to officially announce Sleeping Warrior Week on my channel. It's going to start on May the 20th. I'm going to be interviewing George Musser, a contributing editor to Scientific America, who wrote the article Time, Space, and Gravitation that Sleeping Warrior keeps quoting as apparent proof that gravity doesn't exist. So I'm actually going to be interviewing his citation. There's also going to be a roast of Anthony Riley. There's going to be a second episode of Flirts Are Idiots for him. I'm going to be debating him again on the Friday. And on the Saturday, we're doing Project Aristophanes, which is a joint project with about 300 people at the moment to measure the angles of the sun on May the 25th at 4 places across America to prove the shape of the Earth.
That's
exciting as fuck.
awesome,
Good for you.
actually.
Yeah. Good for you.
That's
All right,
cool.
Fight the Flat Earth. Everybody check that out. Thank you for popping in. Astronomy Live, you're next. Thank you for coming by the way.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, sorry, just had to unmute myself there. Yeah, I think it's telling that he admits that even if he were to witness the Falcon Heavy landings in person and came to the conclusion that he was wrong all this time, it would not cause him any doubt about or change his level of confidence about his conclusions regarding the shape of the Earth. I'm sure he's encountered other things in his life that shockingly were not what he thought they were, and found out that that positions he was so confident about were incorrect, and yet somehow there's a disconnect in his mind between being met with reality that violates his strongly held beliefs that he's willing to bet his entire channel on, for example, and everything else that he believes to the same extent. And so, unfortunately, it sounds like even if we were able to get him out to this launch, it wouldn't really do anything to educate him at a deeper level. And I have serious doubts he'll ever really attend the launch. I would love to see it happen, but I don't count on it. I'm not holding my breath about it. And I think everyone's exactly right. He's already kind of setting up the stage now for his friend showing up and him not being satisfied with the footage that his friend gets, and then some excuse for why he's not going to accept that as proof. So that's sadly already in play, and it's pretty clear that's what's going to happen. I don't count on him ever showing up, but I'll be glad to show him the launch through my telescope. It does show up. So, the question, I guess, at this point is whether he'll ever show up, or whether his friend will even ever show up. I mean, there was talk about his friend going up and seeing this Falcon Heavy launch in his stead, and that obviously didn't happen and hasn't happened yet. I'll be very open to the idea of his friend showing up if he ever does, but obviously that's not going to satisfy Russian vids, and I don't think anything ever really will. But I will make this promise: if Russian vids himself shows up, not his friend, not some proxy who's just going to waste all of our time, but if Russian vids himself shows up to a launch, I will be glad to let him view this landing through the eyepiece of my telescope, where there's no camera, no possibility of CGI, no digital screen at all, just optics, pure glass and mirrors. There will be smoke and mirrors, but not of the deceptive type. The only smoke will be coming from the rocket, and the only mirror will be in the telescope, and he's free to inspect that to his heart's content. No tricks involved. And so he can see it in the eyepiece himself and see for a fact that actually these things are real, because that's the truth. I haven't faked my footage. Red hasn't faked his footage. It's not CGI. This is actual footage that we filmed ourselves. These things are real. And I'm personally proud of what I've been able to accomplish and develop for tracking these things. And because of the program I've written for tracking these rocket launches, that makes it possible for him to view this in my telescope without him having to touch the telescope, without him having to do anything. I can track it myself using my software. He can just look through and enjoy it. That, to me, is an incredible offer. Nobody else would make him that offer, I guarantee you.
That's freaking awesome.
Because by doing that, I'm deliberately sacrificing the ability to film it myself in high resolution through the telescope. The only one who's going to see it through the telescope is him. And even then, I have doubts he would be honest about what he actually saw in the eyepiece, but I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to give him that opportunity because I've already got tons of great footage of this thing happening. So I'm willing to give him that, at least on one launch. Preferably not Falcon Heavy because those are really special. But if it is, so be it. I've already got 2 Falcon Heavies under my belt. I'll sacrifice one if that's what it ends up being.
Well, Astronomy Lab, thank you very much for popping in. We need to get you back on here more often. You do good work, and you should be proud.
Nibiru.
So thank you, sir.
We got to do Russian.
Thank you very much for having me on.
When are we going to do Nibiru, bud? Do you still want to do that?
Oh, where is it? I've got Nibiru right here. I found it. It's right here. Woo!
Yay!
Oh yeah.
I'm outside with the telescope tonight, so I got my red light.
Okay, Reds. Last but not least.
Yep, of course. So anyway, for anyone who is currently watching this, I'm urging everyone, please go see Astronomy Live's video of the Falcon Heavy, and please subscribe to his channel. He does great work. And listen, my footage is absolutely amazing, and it has just extra butthurt on it because it was filmed with the Flat Earther camera of choice. But it's not as good as Astronomy Live's video. So please go to Astronomy Live's video and like it, comment, give it as many views as possible because it deserves a lot more than what it has. He deserves a lot more subs. Please do that right now. Red's Rhetoric deems it a necessity for life itself. And on top of this, Russian Viz was just given one hell of an offer by Astronomy Live. He was given one hell of an offer by me. Not only is Astronomy Live willing to sacrifice the capability of filming so that Russian Vids can have such a golden opportunity to see it for themselves, but then he's going to have the added bonus of getting a lap dance paid for him. So there you go. I mean, so have the trip paid for, have the bus ticket or the rental car paid for, have basically front row seats to this launch and landing, and get a lap dance all in one trip. Where are these types of deals when I'm eager to go on a road trip for something like that? Where do I have to be to get this kind of offer? Hey, would you like to come see a rocket launch and get a lap dance and have it all paid for? Well, sure. I'll go ahead and call in sick that day. Basically, what Astronomy Live just said is true. In my opinion, true. He is setting the stage to dismiss this outright. If he has his friend go there and his friend captures this footage, well, guess who doesn't have a friend anymore? That's what we're going to see.
By the way, I do know for a fact that Kyle has offered, if you go down to visit him, he will give you a lap dance. So you haven't taken him up on that, but he has offered that. But do you think Russian Vids is? Do you think he's worried? Because I mean, there sounds like there's some trepidation in his voice. You can hear he's not as confident as he usually sounds. He's using a little more rhetoric as well. But do you think that he's actually concerned about this? Do you think there might be something in his brain going, shit, these guys sound awfully confident that they're legit. I mean, there's just nothing about you and Astronomy Live that it just reeks of dishonesty. I mean, it's completely legit. You guys have the footage, you have the explanations. It's all coherent, right? So I think he's a little bit afraid right now, to be honest with you.
Russian Vids apparently has built his entire existence around this conspiracy. And unfortunately, him being wrong about this has implications that he just doesn't want to deal with. For example, he has said that my footage, as well as the footage from Astronomy Live, is CGI. If that is shown to be wrong, then it shows that he has no right to judge anything as CGI, since it is clear as crystal at that point that he doesn't know what the fuck he is talking about when it comes to deeming one thing CGI and one thing being legit. So if he goes out there and he sees it for himself, he at that point has no excuse. He has no pillow to hide under. He is fucked, essentially. He doesn't want that to happen. He needs this conspiracy. He has built his entire existence around conspiracy. And if that conspiracy is shown to be false, if the world is shown to not be this nasty, scary place that he so wants it to be, it's almost like he doesn't have a purpose. He needs this in order to have an identity. This conspiracy is his identity. Without this conspiracy, he has no identity to go on. He will be an empty shell of a man, and that's what I see from a lot of these flat earthers. They need this. They need this for their own sanity. So it doesn't matter what you show them. It doesn't matter how good your evidence. It doesn't matter that you have the explanation, the mathematics. You can fly their sorry asses to the space station itself so they can see our beautiful round Earth. They will dismiss it outright because they need this conspiracy in order to have a purpose. And that is why Russian Vids is doing everything he can to avoid coming on the strip, even though as of right now, he has no excuse. He has the funding. He has the capability. He has the people who have the know-how. There is no excuse. There is no excuse. And at that point, his dishonesty is now so immense, now so obvious, it's glowing like the fucking sun.
There is one excuse that he can have, and that is, and we'll end on this, and see you guys tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But the only excuse that he could have is if he is hashtag bitch made. Good night.
Oh Lord, who got the